From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern, using hot air from a candle, can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed, however, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the space shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
SpaceX, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
you can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakkoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mayron Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review, such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called GANS, an acronym for gas in nano-solid state. The GANS produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day, and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the communications. Plasma absorbs fields, and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenove, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the peace treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core GaN systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called the Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health, and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Welcome, everyone, to the 234th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 26, 2018. I'm your host, Rick Crammond, today, and as usual on these Thursdays, we are joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and I believe he's ready to go with today's teaching, which may have an emphasis on the health aspects. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go?
Yes, fully engine fired and ready to go. Good morning, good day to you as usual, whenever you listen to these Knowledge Seekers programs worldwide. We see a lot of beautiful things and we see a lot of things that we didn't know. And it's interesting to see how the technology has developed and how it's spreading and how many different type of people from different backgrounds are attracted and see a future in what they call it the new technology. And in so many ways, we have started a process, all of us, that has changed and will change totally the course of life of man on this planet and beyond. In so many ways, as I always say, it's a collective effort by all of us, being Rick, who runs these teaching sessions, being those who work in the research centers, being those who at home use it to help themselves from the pain from an ankle, or use the technology to create a condition that they need less heat or less energy to burn. In a way, collectively, we have achieved a lot, and in a way, collectively, it's the first time human race has changed the whole course together. We have no boundaries, we have no nationhood. We work as one, freely sharing and teaching and understanding and helping the others to teach and understand. It's very interesting to remind you that next week, teaching Tuesday, Thursday, the 2nd of August, falls on the anniversary of the launch of the One Nation, One Planet, One Race, as one government, as one nation. And I think it's time to see how this slow coach has built up its momentum and what is going on. And gradually, maybe a lot of us give a hand to them to move on. I think it's time to ask the Universal Council members to bring to us next week what have they achieved, what they are planning for us, what is the program, what is the outlook from them for us as the registered part of the whole organization. I think on the administration side, we can ask what we call the Earth Council to give us a report, but you have to understand the Earth Council works on the back of the Universal Council, that it can accommodate their needs, and Universal Council needs to move. And I hear they start making some structure after talking, and they are moving on. I said to somebody, Universal Council is worse than the European Council. They sneeze, it takes about a year to wipe their nose. For us to make conditions, and the process has taken nearly over a year and a bit, but they're getting there. And hopefully next week we hear what is their plan for us, what do they see, what is priority in the whole thing. And I thank the members of the Universal Council in being there and trying to overcome something which they were never trained. You got to understand something very interesting, which is very much the Universal Council. It's like the House of Commons of England. You come from every background. You could be a floor cleaner, and then next week you become a member of parliament. You don't know what is going on. And now they have to make on board and make decisions, and they bribe you and they control you to whatever they like. But our members of the council are not in that position. They have the decision making, but they have to understand how it fits the soul of the man. I have a very, very interesting friend. She used to be a ticket collector at Underground in London on the metros, and now she's a member of the parliament in one sweep, because she got some inheritance money and she could spend it. And she sat in front of me and says, what am I going to do? I know nothing about it. I'm going to the parliament and I'm sitting as a member of parliament and they want to offer me a position. I only know how to collect tickets. And I said to her, you'll learn. Very soon, money will buy your thoughts. You don't need any education. And she's fallen into it in less than 2 years. And in so many ways, the Universal Council members don't have the opportunity to be educated. They can educate themselves and among themselves and to set up a new path. There is no proceeding, there is nothing behind it that they could rely on. So the decision they make after all this elaboration, I've attended a few of their meetings, is amazing. They're still talking, still talking. Nothing has been put on the paper. For the first time, they start putting things on the paper. But this was part of the journey of developing and strengthening your souls. Try to understand mankind is moving to a direction that it needs direction from people who are supposed to be guidelines, guidance for all the work you do. It'll be interesting how all of you start developing as members of the Universal Council, and as your numbers increases, to see how we can evolve. There is a beauty with Universal Council is that a member of the Universal Council and head of the Keshe Foundation Manufacturing, which literally controls all the finances of the foundation from our productions and whatever we do, on the global side, sits in the same team. So in a way, she knows roughly what council budgets will be, what can be done, but she keeps it to herself in the long run. But she's a very good administrative, and as she runs the Keshe Foundation management team on the manufacturing, she'll bring some lights into the way to be done. We have a number of the highly respected scientists like Dr. Gatwa and the board members that they can guide to set a legal structure around it and being it. But one thing I ask you, please stop chatting and get down to do it. And it's okay, you have a long time to do it, you meet every week, couple of times in different shape or forms, but we would like to see what have you planned. What is the future set by you? I don't come in and say this and this has to be. In time you will learn to do it. In time you will educate yourselves to be part of it and to be what a important part of it. You've got to divide yourselves according to your expertise and knowledge. A housewife has a huge expertise to be a finance director of the Keshe Foundation. Because if you can budget a house with a meager amount of money, how to feed that everybody eats, you can do it for the whole planet. Nobody is below anybody else. Respecting one's position is more important than respecting one's piece of paper who they are. So please, as a member of Universal Council and the members of the Earth Council, we'll have the honor for you to let us know next week in the first year where we are going, how we are doing it. And if you want, I give you the whole time next week for you to elaborate. But don't come and just give us waffles, blah, 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 blah. Give us some directions. What is the achievement? What are we there to hope and look for? As you know, in the coming time, I'm not going to be here, and I'm pulling more and more away from the Foundation's work in direct ways, that you start learning to run the whole humanity. I'm not there all the time, and it's part of your work. You have to start taking charge. You have to start setting plans. It's very much like we go through revolutions. Now you've done the revolution, you revolutionaries of the new era for human race have to lay down the new rules. Otherwise we go back to the same mayhem of before. So as part of the logistic part, I ask the Universal Council and the members of the core team, we sit there with them all the time, and the members of the Earth Council, please, please start laying out the foundation. We are approaching the space technology very rapidly, especially in China, and this will bring a lot of changes. We've seen some wonderful things. We had some what we call fallbacks, and I've seen things even my team who works with me cannot see it because they're not aware of what the importance and the beauty of what they're achieving. To them it's just another problem or another thing happened. But for me, I analyze the position, analyze the what is happened, the reasons happen, and what is caused, and what is going to be caused by it, and what's going to be the end of it. And so what I see in the coming short time, the Keshe Foundation China will show the space reactor. We will show the full flight. I hope they achieve it. I don't interfere. I stay out, I advise, because it has to be that way. Otherwise, like the Iranian research development, they put me in a lab, in the room, everything A to Z I do, and they just go and pick it up and the system flies. This time is on the shoulder of the Chinese. I respect them highly. It's a dedicated, small dedicated group, and they're working relentlessly, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I thank all of them. And it's relentless, this thing. I read one piece, it says, I have not been home for a month, I'm going for a few hours. And that was, I thought, that's the commitment we all have given. We don't want to sleep. I started just about 7 hours ago, and I'm still going. And most probably I'll go for another 20 hours today because we have an important flight test to be done. And this is the same across different research places. It's not just the space. We see, hopefully, new developments in the energy side. The people who are involved with it will see developments in agriculture. We have a huge, huge development in agriculture process of the Keshe Foundation. One of the major countries in the world very soon will announce the acceptance of the Keshe Foundation agriculture, because the agricultural team are testing. We have given and we collaborate directly inside with the government agriculture team, and they've seen such a rapid change in a farm scale, not in a laboratory scale. And even 10 days of test shows such a huge difference in the yield or the growth of the plants. And this is going to be taken up by the Chinese in a rapid way in the next couple of years as we are involved in it. And we see it will walk China out of poverty of the 60 million, majority of them through farming, by the introduction of the new technology in the farming. Where, as I said in other teachings, a farmer who earns enough just to live now has double or triple income what he had from the same land, from the same farm, from the same product. That moves him out of poverty. I did this and I do this out of respect for Chinese President, His Excellency President Xi, because he's a man of peace and we are committed. We work very hard in China. The Chinese team is growing and they are relentless in trying to do their work. Each one holds one corner of this huge carpet. And as we have seen, I can show you pictures from the agricultural test in China, and just there on the table, it's been right past 24 hours, changing the harvest, the growth of the plants. We see detailed agricultural report by the agricultural scientists, which are making the report to the governments and officials. We see this as a next step. Walking China out of poverty through farming side is one of my key works in China, on the side of the Keshe Foundation Space Program. And very soon we hear about the development of the health section in China. We work with any government who allows the technology to be shared equally by all its citizens. And as one nation, one race, one planet, we are all citizens of one planet. It's nice to see it will be developing in the way it's doing. And I always said, where you're committed, you always succeed. We're all committed and we will succeed. There is no failure. Many people ask me, can you tell us or show us anything about Chinese development? Chinese space program is on course. And we had a setback in a way. We blew all our systems up last Sunday due to the release of massive amount of energy through our plasma reactors. I'm not supposed to show anything, but I can speak in what I see. So you cannot shoot what we call a messenger, not a messenger, but a newspaper man. I'm a newspaper in the board of the Chinese, explaining slightly what's happening. Last Sunday at about 1 o'clock in the morning, our systems matched up with a space system, what we call the environmental system, and we downloaded massive amount of energy into the environment. And with it, we got hit on the return. And we lost more or less all our systems. Every single reactor had to be taken down. It's taken us since Sunday in bits and bobs and parts to reassemble, and hopefully we are back on track again today, that we can start testing. The beauty with the delivery of this massive energy is that it literally ran out. It blew out the main electricity section of the whole city. I informed the ministers beforehand that this is a possibility. We interfere with the energy system, with the power lines, and when it happened, within few minutes, because I was witness to it, it's happening because we lost everything. We lost all our cameras, so we knew there was something wrong. It's very much like you lose your man on the moon and you don't know what's happening because there's no cameras. So I assessed there was an explosion, or we lost the lab, or we had something to do that it knocked all the cameras out. So I managed to get our people to look at it, and we found out we have blown the whole city up out of light power, more or less section of it. And at the same time, we damaged part of the space which we use for what we call testing. I do apologize to our guy there that we done such a damage, but we knew, and he said, doesn't matter if it fires, I'm here to do it, let's do it. So we did some damage to his factory, but we thank him for it. He's there solid like a rock. I adore your work, and I thank you for everything you're doing for this thing. He is a gorgeous man. You have to know him. Those who know him respect him highly. Those who understand, they're all keeping, the Chinese are keeping very quiet, not to talk what is and what is getting done. Many of them know our research centers, people who are involved in, but everybody is keeping respect, keeping quiet, that the Chinese as a nation will show. What has happened is, as we emptied our plasma reactors as a neutron level, we created a neutron plasma outside the building. And being a thunder, rainy storm, the two linked up and they downloaded the energy into easiest way transportation line, which is the national grid, which is nearby. And we informed the governments week before this is going to happen. And I just wrote directly that we don't get any problems to the minister. We've done what we told you, we've blown the city up. I don't know what the extent is. And they understand, they are with us, they don't block us, they allow us to still test. I presume the damage wasn't that bad from the power generation substations, that they most probably switched a few things on or repaired a few parts. And we're back on track. The energy delivered runs into huge amount of megawatts. You cannot do such a thing. And this has been done 4 times before. Now we know 5 times has been done in the same environment. And the people who stay inside it, they see a silver ball expanding. It's not a lightening, but the expansion of a silver ball. Exactly what they say. You'll see a silver color on the plane, or what you call on your craft. Now, if you are inside it, you see the same thing. You see a silver ball expanding into atmosphere in kilometers, till it links up and lines up with lightning that it can discharge the whole energy to it. And because we are connected, we have isolated all systems from ground. We are totally isolated, which means we cannot create an earth ground level. The way we designed it and we have connected, we have no earth ground section except one which we can control and we know, and we can dictate the control more and more. As I said to the team after the teaching today, we go for the next run and we see what we achieve. And the delivery of the neutron energy in such a vast amount is what we have to harvest. What we done, due to the structure we are test running pieces and seeing, is that the energy expanded beyond. In a way, we had to design already, align our systems that we pull this energy in and conform to solidity of the creation of the plasma into the shape of the spaceship or a motion. Our system in the past weeks was there to see the parameters. We tried to understand the work and how the system links up. But one of the things we cannot do because of the way we are positioned is confining plasma fields, because we interact and we find leakages into the, what do you call it, plasma touching like a ceiling, plasma touching metal barriers, plasma whatever. It discharges, does not allow us to build up the plasma. But this time, reaching a neutron plasma, it's beyond us. We don't see it, but it covers the whole building. And this has blown up by discharging into the atmosphere, has created a storm. There is something very interesting that this system, since it's been put in, creates condition of storms. It brings to the city and it discharges itself. In so many ways, it's like another air condition flow which attracts clouds into the environment and creates huge storms. So the first time was coincident, the second time could have been, the third time, but now we've done it 5 times. It's happened 5 times in the same area. And so this shows the power of the technology, the power that the system, now that we have brought this new line into it, if you accumulate it long enough, even you can bring conditions in. We can create rain, because as part of the process last week, we saw raindrops. So I said to myself, when they start telling me it's raindrops, we put platforms around to see where is this raindrop? How come only is on one side? If you had a leakage in the dynamic system, you should get a raindrop all over around the system. But these leakages, these raindrops, they are localized, where the field of the system and the earth creates a condition that it allows creation of rain, because now it shows the conversion of the energy into matter state in interaction between the two. It's like when two clouds collide and they change condition. So I knew last week, I said, my God, this is going to be something interesting when it comes. And it came. We got hit very badly. All the systems blown out. And they were still reloading and repairing cores yesterday. And we have a beautiful team which relentlessly carries on. Most probably we're going to blow more things up tonight and tomorrow. And we have to stand the knowledge gain and what it brings us. Now we know we can create rain in a massive scale. Now we know we can create plasma field through the neutron interactions within the cores. Those of you who work on the energy development, those of you who work on the space development, these are fundamental understanding of the new plasma technology. This is a knowledge which does not exist within the science of man. We see plasmas firing, and most of it has been videoed. Creating a plasma in the water, it's an amazing experience. You cannot create plasma in water, and we use salt water. So even reaching a plasma condition, it means we had to be in the neutron level. All our reactors are filled with liquid. So creating a plasma condition in liquid shows the power of the technology. Those of you who understand nuclear structure, nuclear physicists, plasma physicists, those in CERN, they dream to achieve such a thing if they ever could. They spend billions of megawatts to create one. We create plasma like nothing in liquid, which has never been done. The videos of this, hopefully we can release after the teachings completed, after research is completed. The achievement of creation of life on this planet now has a new meaning. Now we understand how the condition was created, that within the waters of this planet, life existed, created, has brought in, the energy was put into it to evolve. A lot of things with this research, when I look at the videos, when I look over the understanding of comprehending literally what has happened. I watched some of the videos many times to see what I missed. We see evolution and a dynamic evolvement of the liquid in two reactors that it leads to creation of plasma to run, which means has created a rotation. We have managed to come to, in a way, evolve and convert plasma into energy, energy into motion, and the motion in showing itself as the rotation of the plasma and what we call lights and explosion, where there are no motors. We have a specific setup. Some people ask me, what is the combination? I think we have about 160 reactors operating in the lab, something in that region. So it's not, as I said, it's one of the most elaborate systems. Every aspect I could think of, I have brought in. There are some deliberate systems left out or been put in that in the future we can use for different experiments. But as I said to the head of the research, start learning of the reactors which are no motors. Those are your control. You have to control them with your thoughts. Look at them, understand them, and try not to ask or instruct, but become a lover and a loved one. I love to see, and let the system who's connected to you show its beauty. This is very important because I deliberately left some 12 reactors to be operational by thought of the man. No motors. And we see operation in them. We see fuel plasma in them. There is no motor, there is no reason for it to light up, unless the current through transfer of the plasma is there. You can connect anything to a water, nothing shows, many of us see it. But you cannot connect into a water and see plasma unless the plasma is there and has created by the dimension of the neutron plasma technology. It is important for those of you who work, especially those in Arizona, especially some of the, what I call the Chinese space agency who's working behind us, and they think when they show us they want to have the fuel. The fuel understanding is very simple, but controlling it is very hard. And that's part of the teaching which come in the future. I try to explain to my team in China how to think, how to be. At the moment when they run around, they're all different wishes, but because they all have things in it, they don't understand. They have to wish collectively together at the same time, but that comes later on. We have to understand that we have one captain. We don't have many captains, but collectively, impression of the whole decides the control of all. It is what is interesting we see in this development is the expansion of the plasma beyond dimensions of the reactor, which has led to the explosion we had last Sunday. And in so many ways, what we got to learn, can we contain this plasma, this space, that it creates that magnetic field shield effect, that we don't let it to run away in one direction. These are part of the tests which we do, and you got to realize our objective is not to fly today, tomorrow. Our objective is to learn how and why that we can fly safe tomorrow. What we learn today will become part of us tomorrow, and we have to develop it. On the other hand, the Chinese space program, if we hit something very, very, which we think important to us, I might have to override the wishes of President Xi, His Excellency President Xi. I give the Chinese government 1 hour to make a decision on the release of the knowledge. And if we get no objections, we go live on internet. As we did last week, when we achieved certain things, we released Keshe Foundation public teaching page opened up for 15 hours. And if we see developments which I think is got to be shared internationally and keeps the foundation safe and our team safe, we will release the knowledge in a very specific way that we do not override the wishes of the Chinese government, but as an independent organizations, one nation, we all can benefit by it. We achieved plasma, which was one of the biggest important things to do. We announced it and we put it out. If we achieve something which I think, and I have a habit to give governments time. Last time I gave them 2 years, they didn't move. When I moved, you all learned. With this process, we give the Chinese government, because we have direct access to ministers, 1 hour notice that we are going public instruct. We go through our channels directly to the Office of His Excellency President Xi, asking, informing, and waiting. And if we hit landslide developments in the coming weeks, we will show. We give the Chinese government and the Office of His Excellency President Xi through the channels they have provided for us that we are going public. It's a Chinese achievement, and it has to be. They have to be proud of it, even though they have to be kept some secrets in the way they want it till they decide to release it. In a way, it's the clashes of two cultures, culture of freedom and culture of peace, which we both share with the Chinese government, and I think they will understand it was needed and be needed. And I'm sure they're listening on the line and they watch every move we make with this respect. I write, last time when we started, I gave the ministers 30 minutes before launch, before start, before switch on. Within minutes after explosion, I informed the minister, we had accident, can you confirm the extent of damage? This is the beauty government allows us to work so freely as free scientists. This is what we should have had in Europe. Maybe this is the reason we went to China, because through China, we've seen domination of European slavery and the rest of it. Through China, we see freedom, through the new science. And this is how it should be. If we would have brought this technology into Europe, we would have brought the rest of humanity to slavery. As we've seen, a king has risked his own, what you call a reputation, to demand and kill for. He had to go to China to guarantee freedom of knowledge. And I respect His Excellency President Xi for allowing us to work so freely, independently, and allowing my team to be totally independent. No interference, but totally backed by the knowledge seekers of the foundation. And in so many ways, we are setting a precedence that the government protecting scientists, science can be shared internationally. And every one of us is a scientist. Every one of you show something, share something, you achieve something, you have to be proud of, because it shows the strength than hiding behind patterns and trying and nobody ever sees it. You develop something, somebody gets benefit out of it, and you get the blessing of it, elevation of your soul from what the knowledge is there to be shared. One of the things I've been asked, and I was talking to one of my knowledge seekers extensively in the past few days, and I said to that it's time to expand and extend the health side of the Keshe Foundation publicly. It's time for it because a lot of you have tested it. It's time for it because we can push the new dimensions in. And I'm sure many of the doctors sitting here or listen to these teachings, our medical team, especially those who are involved in the health systems, are going to kick themselves. He's put another piece on the table, which they've looked at it a long time ago. Some of them already been taught, but overlooked, and some of it might give you new insight in what is going to be done. One of the most important things is every condition we see on this planet is conditioned to the plasma of the planet, what we call gravitational magnetic field of it. A piece of gold, a molecule of copper will not manifest itself in a given place and position if the gravitational magnetic field of that position would not be created. Why do we get all the copper mines in one place? Why do we get all the lead mines in another place? Why don't we get all the lead and copper all on top of each other in one mine, and then we have to separate it? So this should have shown us that everything created on this planet is conditioned to gravitational magnetic field of the position. How is created? How life was generated? How did it begin? What brought it to be where it is? Then it brings us conversion of the science. If the planet has managed to do and create condition that all the golds are in one place and all the silvers in the other, then now we understand why every organ of our body is in given positions, and how come every animal which is created on this planet has the same systems. Why do we find a heart in every animal? Why do we find lung in every animal? Why do we find livers and digestion system in this every single creature on this planet, which is dynamic, leaving the trees aside as another race totally? So this should have taught us the condition of this planet dictates certain processes, that the process has to get rid of its energy, what it takes in, and then it has to get rid of what it doesn't need. So if you're a plasma reactor, the energy you created, as we've seen in China, you can't hold on to it, you explode it. As I said, excuse my French, you piss it into the space and you blow the whole city electricity up. But in the system which is control itself, it has to find a way. So now it has created digestion system, a process. So that process pushes, dictates condition to have a liver, to store the extra. I need a storeroom, you know, I can't keep on holding to these things around the stomach, so I create a storage, a warehouse, I call it the liver. I have digestion system for two things. I breathe, I take gases, because this planet has two conditions of liquid and solid and a gas. Now I have to find a way to get rid of these gases which are taking, I need their energy. I create lung. So I need a system that what I use from the solid state of this planet, I can get rid of. I create a digestion system. And then liquid is part of it. I put it in the same system. I made the tank, but how am I going to clean it? The liquid cannot go through the same way as the solid. So I separate it, because otherwise I lose most of the things if it's a liquid. I create a liver for the liquid. I create now the kidneys that the liver can support what it doesn't need, it sends off. Then you see the condition is creation of life on this planet is conditioned to the atmosphere and magnetic field of this planet. So we are dictated by the energy we can hold. Then we become a worm, we become a snake, we become a monkey, or we become a man. Because then expansion of the knowledge in how much we can take, it allows us to what we can do and how far we can travel and what is the scope of it. Standing up animals like man or monkey create different
Hello? Hello, Mr. Keshe. I think we lost you there.
It's almost like his power ran out.
Could be. Hello, Mr. Keshe. We're not hearing you.
You can give him a few seconds. Maybe the network needs to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back. Sorry about that. It's okay. So what we see in so many ways is that the condition of this planet dictates a lot of things to us. Absorption, dictating what things needs to create certain condition, environmental condition that leads to creation of kidney, and what needs to be filtered by kidney. Why don't we filter what the kidney doesn't need back into urine or instead of bigger intestine? So we have to add to the knowledge. We have to understand the knowledge, and we have to understand the knowledge of creation. And what we call the medical aspects of this technology is part of this development, is part of understanding it. And now that we have achieved certification through plasma ball in Italy, by certifying it, that we can speak about the work of the plasma in the ball in a medical system, which is what we call has passed CE certification and acceptance of it to be marketed as a medical equipment. Now we can teach you how to use it because it's the manual of the use. Go back into what I said and understand many of the things, because especially for our doctors, especially if you are trying to help yourself out of a cancer or whatever, you need to have this knowledge. It's part of expansion of the technology's knowledge. Look at an ocean. If you got the planet Earth, yeah, and see how deep the oceans go inside, how shallow they are, what dictates their position. And then if as scientists, now that we understand these oceans, which are in our position, if I can go a bit thicker, what we have at these oceans, in fact, if you look at it, is to keep the balance of the spheric shape of the planet. Wherever there is a hole, you don't want a piece of metal with all sorts of shapes traveling so long. So in different planet, we get the huge ups and downs, but in planet Earth, because of its center core, it has created that in these places, we can hold different shape of plasma, what we call water. Then, if you look at it, why do we have a specific kind of fish in the specific oceans? Then it means the magnetic gravitational field has a say on it, both from the gaseous part and from the center core. Plus what we call the inertial mass of the material which are in it. So if you look at the inertia and the circle we call the body of the earth, that's the skin of the man. What outside dictates on it, plus what we put inside it, dictates where the liver or the kidney is going to be. So if you look at it in depth, there is no difference between the man and planet. So we have to look in the structure. If the salt, the magnesium, or the fields created magnesium mountains or the fields in part of the earth, we have to understand how. And then it comes to the body of the man. What does this do? If you look at a man's body, if I can, I'm the worst drawer in the world, I just make you a very nice man. We give him a head. That's a control system. It has got nothing to do with the rest. So you have to look at, in reality, what does this little chap does? It has two liquid cleaning system. Why two? Because the body over time has cut itself into two halves. For what reason? In case of accident, I can still operate. I can keep the soul moving. Now, it has given you two lungs, has given you everything else. What comes in the center goes out, that I can control. It has given you a storage capacity somewhere in the back, and then it has given you, in case I want to reproduce, I know how. The rest of it, you look, is a useless parts, but it has to be able to carry this system with itself. So it gives it a leg and an arm in a way to make it dynamic, to be able to reach, to do. So if you look at the body of the man, it's a very simple thing. It's one of the most simplest things in the universe, is the body of the man. And if you understand this, then you can handle it in all shape or forms. What happens? Why, for example, in the reproduction cycle of the woman, some women don't get pregnant, and suddenly they get pregnant? Because partially the emotion changes it. Partially, once the emotion changes, the body moves to accept this. So I have to change condition. You stay with a man for 10 years, you never get married, you go out with one man and you get immediately married. And both are good. Which means the womb of the woman, where the seed has to grow, has not created a condition of that ocean, that the new life can begin. There is no need for all these surgeries and everything else if the doctors of today understand the process. Even with one sperm, you can make a woman pregnant. You cannot say you have none. You can change the environment of every man to be able to be a father, and every woman to be a mother, without anything, if you understand this technology so easily. On the other hand, you have to understand what condition you create. Is it the emotional, which brings the feed, or the environmental? In most of the systems, if you look at the liver, if you look at the kidney, if you look at the lung, if you look at the heart, you just need to touch it once and the system will pick up. What it means, you just create a condition and then it does. The system tunes in and it does its work. But you stay there, you put the pads again and again to make sure it does. Go back to the understanding of the water cups. What did you do? You put different things on and you put the fruit there and you transfer the energy into the water. So what does this mean? If you get the salinity of the fruit the same as the salinity of the water, then you find out you carry more in the water than the orange. You carry the emotion of it, you carry the physicality of it. You literally can feel chewing it. But as you have not calculated the salinity between the two, you just get maybe some of the taste. And some of you try, it doesn't work because the salinity was not near enough. So from those point of view, that point of view, those of you who work in the medical systems, even the dynamic or whatever, you have to consider, you have a liver, you want to treat the process, you want to understand, you want to start building a system. You have to understand the level of salinity of that system. Without it, that's why some of your doctors fail and you say it doesn't work. And some of you by accident, because you've left some salt in your system, work. You have to understand what system, what organ. There is enough research papers around the world. This is the responsibility of the medical team, especially with Dr. Klaus, to make this data in the Wikipedia, of the medical Wikipedia, the salt content of every organ, what it is. And then when you as doctors create patches for a given disease for a certain point, you have to add that salinity into it. Then you get 100% success. This is why I'm successful in most of the things I do, because this is salinity in the content of the water of the body of the man is a cornerstone of the change of every cell. It's the salinity which gives you test in the boxes, in CO2 boxes, see what happens. You change the salinity and see what you create. You have magnesium, you have calcium. As a lot of you know, I support homeopathy very strongly because the man understood part of the knowledge, but not all of it. But if you go to homeopathy, they say there are 12 salts in the body of the man. A small ratio of any salt in that creates a condition for living. The environmental change of the body of the man comes from the water and the salt, and the rest of the things are created because of the salinity of it. Why do you have magnesium in one organ? Why do you have calcium salt in one organ? Why do you have other salts which we have not even considered in another organ? So for those of you who work, or you're trying to do cancer help, you're trying to do somebody with Alzheimer's or whatever, understand the salinity of the organ, and your hit is done. And then you don't say some of it are successful, because nobody up to now has considered this. It has to be considered. In some of the teachings I spoke about it, but it's been overlooked. But now, going into the neutron development, you will understand this will help you a lot. You deliver such a vast energy to the body that it take what it needs, and within few seconds your patients, if you're a doctor, walks away with no cancer. No cancer does not mean not having the tumor. I have a tumor, 10 kilo, but is there is another leg added. Because I have a leg doesn't mean I have a cancer. This is what our medical teams have to start very rapidly to bring in the conformity of the teaching of the medical and the public who do test medical part. You got a problem with your kidney stone. Get your urine, get it tested, see what's in it. What's in it, most of is what the whole thing back in your kidney. You make a GANS of it. And what do? You put the patches with that GANS, including the CO2, CH3, what do you call it, zinc oxide, into the patch, and you put it. In 2 days, there is no stone. We've shown this with Naomi. Giovanni can tell you. Naomi had a problem with the solid salt under her foot, bent. And they wanted to use ultrasonic to break it up over 6 months to go. I said, Giovanni, just test the urine, see what's in it. You know what the salt of the body is. Immediately GANS, make a GANS of it. Giovanni can tell you. Giovanni, is he in the background? Can you bring him in? Giovanni, are you there?
He's here. Not sure if he's able to answer right now.
Yeah, but that's what Giovanni did. Are you there, Giovanni? Hello, you're very faint.
Very muffled again. It's muffled again, Giovanni.
I think the mafias have got him this time. We can't hear you, Giovanni.
He needs to connect his phone because his laptop doesn't work. The microphone doesn't work properly.
Ah, okay.
He's doing that.
Giovanni can explain to you when he gets his voice back. That's what he did. He made the GANS of the urine, which is actually the salt content and the material which the body is holding. And within a couple of days, he saw the result. But when you want to see the results, and it's a very dramatic situations, you use a 3-4 times ratio. For the very intrusive cancers, you use 10-20 times the ratio. What it means, in your structure, you put 20 gram of this, or 20 milliliter of this, and 1 milliliter in this one. This is very simple. Because this trying to feed to balance takes everything out. And you need to use it once, and the system kicks in. And the people say, you can't use it. Doesn't matter, I've done my job. Hello?
Hello, Keshe, can you hear me now?
Yes, Sir Giovanni.
Oh, yes, good morning.
Good morning. I thought the mafias got you this time.
Not this time,
you haven't been to Sicily yet, but I thought they got before you get there.
Yes.
Giovanni,
Yeah.
can you explain to us what we did with the foot of Naomi, with the salt ball on her foot? What you did?
Yes, Keshe. And I now searching the picture of the patch that I did it.
Yes. But can you tell us how you made the patch? What was the content of the patch?
Yes, Keshe. 1 second, because you know that I write all. So I have exactly the what I did it. 1 second. Basically, I put urine. I took in the first morning the urine of Naomi, and after I add some CO2 gas. I start to find exactly the composition, because sure I wrote it.
I think if somebody finds that book one day, they can say the guy was God. He knows what to do. Everything is written, what is done.
Yes.
Actually, that
Okay.
book you've written is the life of a man, huh? You brought life back to Naomi with it. Okay, carry on.
And so exactly. I put 200 cc of urine and 200 cc of CO2 plasma liquid. I did it a mixture between 50% of urine and 50% of liquid plasma of CO2, and put a little bit of gas of CO2. And after I put on the upper part of the foot the double of the patch, and the part of the foot that touch the floor, for an idea, half of the half of the patch. So the upper one was the double. I did it I put the patch and keep it for like 24 hours. And I left between one patch and the other one 5 centimeters of distance. And one patch, the big one, was 111 grams, and the second patch was 261 patch, 61 grams. And the day after the application, the physiotherapist noticed that Naomi have no pain when he make all the movement, and the articulation was completely different of in respect of last time. If you want, I can share also the radiography of the foot of Naomi.
Can you let him go out? You can share.
Yeah. 1 second. This is one. These are when we did it. This radiography showed that there was a lot of crystal of mineral, of calcium, sodium, because for a lot of time was blocked, no, and nobody did it the physiotherapy. And so and after that I put the patch, became completely unlocked. And
so
now yes, the crystal, yes, the crystal, yes. Now the only problem that we have is that the nerve that is behind the foot is it's short, and now we need to become more elastic. But you know, Keshe, I showed to you the last video is like normally walking of Naomi. She can stay against the wall alone, without that she need that nobody can manage her. It's able to control the movement of the body, and even if in this moment it's very difficult for her, because I talk with her and she answered that I have a lot of pain because she have the pipe in the stomach from 2 years, and it's an open wound that it's
That is the
it's
problem.
normal.
Once
Yeah,
that pipe comes out next week,
next
hopefully.
week, because she eat completely from the mouth. Yes.
Yeah.
And she
But,
always eat, Keshe, always, Madonna mia.
pardon?
She wants always eat.
I know. She's a hungry woman. It's a beautiful thing. It's because you got to understand why. I mean, you just say something that she wants to eat. You have to understand why. She is very active in her brain and uses a lot of energy. She's not getting fat. So what she's doing, she is analyzing everything through her thoughts, her emotions, her life. This is why she wants to eat. She can eat a ton and she still stays slim, because not because she doesn't walk, but because the brain is so active that it uses everything up. They say research development past 10-20 years confirm a scientist uses more energy per day than a minor face work, which is digging with a hammer. She is inside herself. She sees everything. She cannot talk, but she's a logical thinker. She kisses you enough. She gives you a hug enough, so you understand the emotion is complete. So being silent and not being, and having a pain, not being able to say, it's all takes energy. And that's why she eats so much. We see this with a lot of people in respect to the what we call CFS or FMS, or what we call fibromyalgia, because all the energy goes into the pain control. They're always tired, they have no energy. So, but if she eats so much, because it means the brain is very active, it shows a healthy brain. She knows everything. She recognizes everything. And so what was interesting, Giovanni, before he uses the patch, he was using this ultrasonic to crush the crystals. Do you want to tell us what you were doing?
Yes. Yes, I start to do the we call waves of heat. It's like a small hammer that broken the crystal. It's a mechanic system, no?
Yeah.
And this small hammer, it's painful, and give a lot of heat every minute, and broke the crystal of the foot. But was a longer and painful process, no? When I saw this, I asked to see Keshe if it was possible to find a solution that can be better and also can give less pain to Naomi. And so he told me about the patch. And when I applied the patch, I went to do again to the lax. There was some other treatment that I need to do, no, because was already fixed the date. And the doctor want to accelerate because see that the problem was go away. And so he put, usually when there is a problem like this, there was a treatment each 2 weeks, 1 week, no more. No? In that case, he passed each after 3 days. We did the other one, and there I understood that the problem was solved. because I saw his face. It was so surprised of movement of Naomi that don't have the pain anymore. That I was really surprised of this. And after I asked confirmation to the physiotherapist that came later, and say to me what you did it, because something it changed here a lot. And she showed that don't have a pain anymore when I did the movement. When I do the movement, and and the angle of movement are too much different from before. And so this is amazing. And he explained about the passion that you are crazy. Oh, it's possible to do something like that. You have this result. Let me understand. Teach me. And so I explained to him what I did it. And now you see, every time that I speak, he stopped and listen to me.
So it is very easy to do.
Yes, easy, Keshe. The only thing that is important that I saw is that it's important that when prepare the patch, you put all the air away, because if you leave some air inside, it starts the process of like fermentation, like how can call you, that start a reaction.
Yeah.
And this broken the patch. But until now, until today, and so is for it's 8 months that I have it, they are completely efficient. I have already, and there are no broken.
Can I ask you a question? It's your privilege, you decide. Would you like to share the video of Naomi yesterday, the one you sent me?
Yes, Keshe, but I need 5 minutes. If you can talk, I need
talk
to
all
charge.
Day, you get it, no problem.
Okay. Give me a minute.
If you don't mind,
I will show.
because I think it's nice for people to see the stage she is, and it's a privilege for all of us.
Sure.
When you're ready, just come back and say, I'm ready. I'll let you in. Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
Bye.
Can you stop sharing? Yeah. So what we see, thank you very much, Giovanni. What we see is how we, piece by piece, controlling the damages which has been done to Naomi. We even control her movement. If she's got a blockage, we build a system to release that blockage, because this has happened partially by the accident and partially by the side effect of the present knowledge, knowing that with the situation she was, she will never be able to live. So they left her to die. And in that process, body has gone through the process of death, which means shutting down so many things. And now for knowledge and the science is to reverse the order of the brain, reverse the condition of the existence. And this is important. You have to excuse me, I have a little boy who wants something from me. Be a good boy, huh? Bravo. There we go. Bravo, Mr. Tony. So what we're doing is not that we use one patch, one thing. Giovanni and I, we review regular basis, see what has been fixed. Now we fixed it, what's next? And we are going through the process of literally switching. Is like going to a building and switching every single motor on one by one. And if it's damaged, repair it. We know how to repair. The knowledge is complete. In a very short time, in a matter of weeks, Keshe Foundation will announce internationally on maybe 1 or 2 projects for coma recovery. We will do it in 2 different nations, and the process has started. And we take a number of coma patients who life has become standing still for them 5 years, 10 years. And we bring them back in. My arrangement is that the Keshe Foundation doctors will take my position. We just decide, we develop the system for them, and are there with the governmental doctors to monitor. We'll announce this will be done in a specific way that we do not create mayhem with it, but on the other hand, we do not have anyone trying to see all these what we call the red circles doing their dirty job, which they think they do, which anyway, very soon they'll be behind bars, as what we see and evidence is submitted. But I have to tell you something. All the German people who supported the red circle, we are filing damages against you, against Foundation. Be very careful. Those toilets you show, that's where you spend the rest of your life cleaning. It's not Africa, it's in Germany and other places where you spend your time in. Everything has been kept. So keep that toilet, remember, that's what you'll see for the rest of your life. And it's very interesting that our supporters and lawyers and international lawyers tell us one thing. We will see the change of government in Belgium due to the misconduct of this court case. They are adamant this will happen in a short time because it's the direct influence of the monarchy with scientists and trying to kill people, and the evidence now is solid. On the other hand, we have to understand the whole structure of the body can be controlled. The whole structure of the work of the body of the man, if you understand the salt content, if you understand the position of, if you understand the program of, yes, I have nothing for you, sir. You have to be quiet. Just for 2 more hours. Yes, Mr. Topoli, please. Thank you. So we have to understand how the composition of the salt comes. How the whole structure of the process of understanding how different parts are positioned. Why do you have the ribs? What's the position of the salt of the bone in respect to the lungs? What's the position of your spinal cord in respect to radiation of the fields? We look at the spinal cord as a line of nerves, but in fact, if you look at it, it's a spaceship. Look at the shape it makes. Look at the shape of the man. You're vertical on the back, and the front has the shape of what we call the spaceship, but it's a vertical shape. The spinal cord is not just a nerve system, it's a creator of the atmospheric condition for the shape of the man. And then the bone fits into it. And then the salt content in a given position will fit into it. And then it dictates why suddenly you get the liver immediately below the ribs. Why the life creates a specific salt that creates lung and protects it through the cage. Why does the body of the man allows other organs, which is the soft organs, to be open? Your stomach, your liver. These are all conditions which has been developed by the body to protect the body. And then for it, it creates condition of salts. It's like that ocean with all the different salts which creates different animals. And then what you see is the totality. We have to learn how these things affect each other. We have to understand how far we can push the limits of the knowledge and the science that allows the man to be independently able to support his life in a space. How do we replicate this? How do we replicate all this? Can we allow it? And can we replicate it? Can we make condition that we lose a kidney by accident? We can create a condition, the shape and the salt content, that kidney will be developed in that position and connect itself. The time of the transplant is finished. We don't need to take one organ from one part of another man to give to another man. Now the knowledge has extended enough, and in the coming time, many of the Keshe Foundation scientists will do it. You create a condition where that condition dictates the creation of kidney. So you don't need to look for. In space, you cannot send a message to Earth, can somebody send us a kidney? We got a kidney failure. Or we had an accident, the guy's lost half of his liver or 2 eyes. Each organ in the body of the man is created due to a specific effect, due to a specific condition. And the whole thing is because it stands the condition of the bigger atmospheric and the planet, that it dictates what has to be where. If you see, it's a very funny thing. I listen to the scientists, as I said, they come up with all sorts of rubbish, that we are 99.9% like a mouse or a pig. We are the same, we are 100% the same. It's not 99%. If the guy decided to have a pink skin and walk on 4, we decided to be on the leg. Because man never understood the beginning of life. The amino acid is created in a CO2 box, and you can do it. So that's why we are. If I change it slightly, I get a pig. If I put a slightly thing, I get a man. So I can create many men without any mother and father. Because the knowledge will come to that point. This makes another point which is ridiculous, says we want to control the population. Now we know how to start making humans. How many billions do you want us to make it? Do we create men, which they decide to atmospheric condition, that we have more because so many have left. We want so many Einsteins who could understand nothing, but we want many scientists who are layman and understand everything, so we may create laymen. We don't need soldiers anymore because there is no war. So the whole angle of life changes when you understand the salt content positioning. The whole structure changes. And when you see the video of Naomi, it has been 2 years now. It's been step by step repairing, precise repairing, exact knowing where the problem is. A few weeks ago, I was with Naomi and I said, this thing, let's look at the video. This is not working. So this part of the brain is not growing. Giovanni can tell you, he made a patch. Within a few days, that part which we repaired in the brain, the leg stopped moving. There are videos of it, you can see. So my knowledge of body of the man is so detailed that I can make anything. I can even make your whole structure from A to Z. But as people who use this knowledge have to understand how and why. The time of just putting a CO2 and a zinc, it doesn't do. You use a zinc, you use a CO2. Why do you use it for? Is it for liver? Or is it for a cancer? Is it for the stomach? Or is it for lung? Or are you using it for a brain? Then you have to find the salt content of that organ you're using it for. Now the division comes. Then the percentage of the salt. The beauty of the knowledge of today is that all this has been researched by the other scientists. All you need is to go on the internet, gather the knowledge, and then when you apply it, it's not anymore by accident, it's deliberate, because you have decided it. This gives you a strength in the knowledge of understanding. Which part of the kidney you're touching? What's the salt content in that part of the kidney? All these data now are available. For you is, I want calcium salt, I want sodium salt, some magnesium salt, this ratio added to your patch. You're not going to get it 100% right, but because it's there, it creates a condition of connection. Because you put that CO2 in it. When you put the CO2 and zinc in a patch, you're not connecting with the physicality. You're connecting to the soul of the system, and you connect through CO2 the soul to physicality. When you put a magnesium in your patch, when you have a psychosomatic, when you use it for the brain, you put a magnesium in, because then you connect inside the brain, the energy fields which connects the brain of the man, part of the soul, to physicality of the man. You can get any dead man walking. You have to go in more detail. The time that you just made patches is over. It's there. A lot of people are learning. But now go in more strength, especially the medical team. You want to repair a lung cancer, understand the work of the lung. What is made of, which part, has it got asbestos in it? You make the gans of the asbestos at the same ratio. You have a critical condition, they give your patient less than 24 hours or a day to die. You don't work with a 2:1, you go with 20:1. And it works. Doesn't matter what people say, it's accidental. My father was put in a hospital 2 weeks ago to die. They told us be ready for funeral. He's home today. He was moved back home today, thanks to Caroline. One patch, done the job. They don't know what's happening. We done our job. We are out of Africa. I had to go for a funeral. Now I have a beautiful father, much healthier than before, in the house. Because when we supported him, they didn't tell us the problem was somewhere else, not there. So when we knew where the problem was, it was solved. 3 hours of a patch. Man in his 80s, home, happy walking. They had to take him to 2 flights of stairs to confirm the guy actually walks with 2 massive heart attacks. I use it when I need it. It took Caroline half a day to produce it. Going to a funeral, it became a party for the family. All the cousins and uncles meeting each other. We know we use it. It's your right to use it, but you have to know how. This is what the technology is about. To have the knowledge the correct way, to understand it, and to apply the correct way when it's needed. They say, what's the use of it? I don't need it, it's just something. But when it comes you need it, you should be able to use it. And the knowledge has to be part of you. Be it agriculture, be it health, be it anything else. This is what you have to go now in more detail. You are in space and you're alone, you lose a kidney, you got a leg which is chopped off, you can't hop around, there is no stick. You should be able to regrow the leg. You should be able to replace the kidney. We have grown toes, everything is videoed. Hundreds of hours of videoing how you can grow a toe. Up to now we couldn't because of all these shambles. Now it's all done with the parameters of the dynamic plasma reactors, which is certified and is done by the Keshe Foundation. In these balls, you consider the salt content, not just the Gansons, blah blah, and the rest of it. You move it slightly up, you're touching the liver. What's the content of the liver? You're moving to the right, you're touching the kidney. What's the content of the kidney? What salinities you use? Combination of it. Every color of an organ you get in your hand has a different salt content. Every step of the medical application is important. And you have to understand it. We have to understand that as now we open the space, that we can repair the damages we don't know, we can prevent damages that will come to us we don't know, and be ready to accept any conditions in the universe. We went to build a reactor. Give me 5 minutes, 2 minutes, please. Giovanni?
No, sir. Yeah, I'm ready.
We went to build a space reactor to see it fly. We made a huge ball of it because system is not there to shrink it. Arizona, they're happy. They see fields 200 meters away. We created a massive ball. We watched it. I knew something gone. And then we know because people who've been there on the other occasions exactly confirm. So we have a flying system but it's got a massive power. Now we have to tame it. We have to bring it here. It's like you got a big curtain in your hand in the wind, and you're trying to bring the parachute curtain together that you can get it to fly the way you want. And you see, the space technology, the medical, the agriculture, all merges together. We have to. I'm in the craft. How am I going to create a cabbage would taste exactly like a cabbage I used to have at mom's? The same everything. It has a calcium, it has a phosphor. I forgot the salt content. Every turn and curvature and the strength you see on the leaf of a cabbage has different salt content. If the man manages to that, you can create any cabbage anywhere in the world. And you will see now how simply a work of a father in past 2 years, exactly over 2 years, in pieces and dedication and understanding the technology that has been transferred, the knowledge to him, he's just replicated the knowledge. As he's been told, he's made a copy of it, word to pieces. And you see a woman who they said she's going to die, the brain totally damaged, and she was left to die. We are actually, most of the damage we are repairing is if the doctors would have considered that she's going to come to life one day, and they wouldn't let these damages to happen. The body has shut down. Now we are reversing. I've done more than the crisis done. You'll watch. Go ahead, please, Giovanni.
Thank you, Sir Keshe. This is, if you look, she is able to control the body. We only, the physiotherapist only try to keep the body, to compensate, but she is able to move the leg and to put.
Now you see her gorgeous face. Now look, she's going to look up and you see her. There she is.
It's not tired, eh?
No, she's not tired. No, and she looks again, huh? I'm here. I know this video by heart. I watched it many times since yesterday. I adore this woman. She's so gorgeous. She fights. She's a fighter. She'll survive. She'll win. There is something which you have to realize. The hip was broken on this side. Part of the damage, she can't put her foot down, is where the hip was broken too close to the spine. It's not that we cannot do things. The shortage of it is because where the hip was broken and for weeks was out of position, which kept her awake, now has been put back in. So now we're given everything. When you see the curvature at the bottom of the foot is where it was actually more or less bent nearly 90 degrees. By taking that salt content down, she can put it in the shoe on now. This will take us in the next few months. She'll be totally, once the pipe is out of her stomach, we have more control. And there it is. She looks at you again, and she hasn't given a kiss. I was wondering why she's not sending you a kiss. Because the minute she sees you, she gives you a kiss. And this is the woman which they told us, and she was put in a ward to die 2 years ago. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
If you want to, my bits. Pardon?
If you want, Keshe, I have the 2 photos of the patches for.
Please.
Okay, I can show to you. You see? No? These are the patches.
We don't see it.
No?
No. You got to reshare. Stop the video and reshare. I think you're still...
Yes, we are still sharing VLC player. Share again and choose another application.
Okay. I'll stop share. Okay. Share the screen. Okay.
You see, Stanley, I'm becoming good at it. Now I understand a bit. You're back there again. There we are.
This is the patch of urine. And this one is half of the other patch that is double.
You see, this is called a coma foot, because they are not going to walk ever. And
Yeah. Yes, the coma foot, and this created the crystallization. This has the first patch. In this, you can see area, air. Yeah. But immediately after, when I saw that it started to become bigger, the process of fermentation, I prepared other patch without air at all. So, and still now I have that one.
That's perfect. You see, if you keep it there, what happens when the body comes, keep the picture there, please, Giovanni. When the body goes into this position of death, but the blood circulation is still going on, you have to understand, coma is a brain lock to physicality, but it doesn't stop the brain working with the heart. It's a very specific disconnection. And the soul of the physicality does have no communication with the soul of what do you call it, the man, in a way of a direct line through the blood circulation of it has, but it loses due to certain connection. It's there, but it's not at the same strength, so they cannot interface. What we do with the coma, we bring that interface, we bring that switching on to connect the soul and soul of physicality together. And that's what you see the results. You have to understand, it's not a magic. It's understanding the next step in the science of creation. And in that process, you connect, but now the physicality has to start connecting with the dimension of the application of the soul. Now it's trying to clean up, but physically is you stretch the foot. You see that's a more or less nearly 90 degrees angle. If you look at it sideways, you can't put it in a shoe because it's all locked up with crystals.
Exactly.
So now it's gone. You've seen her wearing a shoe and she can walk, but the damage to the right leg of Naomi, it'll be fundamentally to some extent not possible because the hip is broken at that point. We have to release a lot of muscles on the upper hip that the bottom opens up. At the moment, as Giovanni says, they are looking, there's a shortage of ligament at the bottom. But the next thing they have to do, they have to put a patch where the hip damage was. That they release it, there is still some blockage. When that is released, the leg opens up. This is the next step. When Naomi comes off the pipes that she can carry with it, we put a patch in a specific way in the hip that those contraction of the muscles during her coma time, you know that after we put a patch over her hip, within half an hour she went to sleep for the first time in month or two. So we have not completed that process, but we had to complete something else. So the next step, once the stomach comes out, we go back to the hip and we allow the muscles of the hip to open up, and then the legs opens up. This, what we see, the curvature on the foot when she walks, is because of the locking of the muscles at the upper level, and we see the bottom. It's not that we have to do something with the leg. Everything has been done. So we wait for another week, 2 weeks when the pipe is out. Then we put patches again on the same position of the hip where we let her go back to sleep when she couldn't sleep because of the pain. That locking is still there. So the minute we release those muscles along the back of the femur, the leg will go stand up and she walks. We know exactly, I know exactly where to take her and what the next step is. But as Giovanni says, we had to wait till this pipe goes out. She'll speak in the coming time very rapidly. But this food pipe, been there 2 years, it'll create some problems for the first week or two. Then we can go and sort everything else out. Thank you very much, Giovanni.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
I'll take her for a dance, don't worry, very soon.
Sure, Keshe.
And I got all the kisses I collected last time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keshe. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye.
So we see how, if you understand the physiology of the body of the man, and we understand the operation of the soul, we understand the operation of the salt content in the structure, everything can be done in the body of man. No man should die unless he decides. In the coming time, man will be given that option to disconnect from his soul. You don't need to go and take a poison, and you don't know. But you have an option, which is done in the universe commonly. You gift your soul to elevate another soul, which means you give the whole knowledge of existence of you to another life. This is how we don't call it the termination. We call it the merger into totality. And when many souls, when they graduate to this level, they become part of the soul of the Creator. This is the progress which man have to understand in the coming time. We don't fight for anything. We gift. Gift is loving. And if you love, you can do. Many people say to me, oh, because you don't have love, you are talking so much about it. I know so much about love that if I shower the man with, he'll be drowned more than the oceans. But the man has to understand what it is. What is the true love? What is the giving? And what it means to betray in the love. When you take unconditionally and you betray, you pay. It's very simple. But if you know you've been betrayed and you take your position, you will not be punished. It's a gift given to you to protect, to bring balance. And those of you who don't understand this very, very soon. Because man has to understand, if you cannot love to give, you cannot take back the love which is given. It's a system. It's an atom. A proton loves the electron, and with the love of what it gives it, electron gives back, that confirms the existence of the two. Mr. Topoli, you can't do that. Sorry about this, I have a very busy child today. There we are. Bravo. And this is part of what we have to understand. In a short time, in a coming time, you have to be able to give, understand how to give, be able to control everything, how much field you give. In the coming time, we'll show you filtering of the fields, even with the salt content. Then you can allow the whole, you just don't grow one piece of the kidney, you grow the whole shape of the kidney. Creation of body out of it, creation of existence from it, is a gift to humanity. But man has to understand what is gifted. You cannot go and lie and cheat and try to do it, because the soul is aware of it. And it creates that condition. That to bring balance. And you cannot hide the knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of physicality, the knowledge of creation of this planet is all the same. It's the man who doesn't understand and then cannot connect to be able to benefit by it. When you start applying these dynamic systems, now you know you have to consider the salt content. The next step, when you go further in, you have to consider, go back to the structure of the dynamic systems. You create a center whole, which is the soul. Then you have to connect with that soul to be able to fit into the body of the man. This is what you have to learn, especially the physicians, especially the dynamic systems, which are now certified for the Italian Keshe Foundation. You have to understand the totality of it. Not just I put a zinc in there and a CO2 and I see a result. And I hope I see a result. You should be able to sit a man in the system. It's a liver, cancer, give me 5 seconds. Put the doctors there. You do the job, doctors check, there is no cancer. Because it's not anymore CO2, it's the soul of the man. Is the salt content. Then it comes the composition of the cells and the energies of it. Now you understand more. You can take it a step further. You can understand it more. And you can do the job complete. Because I know what's going to happen. You know, the opening of when they found the new world, everybody got on any dinghy and any boat to get across to see how it is and become very rich and have a happy life, because it was so poverty stricken, the rest of the world, especially Europe. When we open the space, it'll be no different. And those who become what we call finding a new world, a new universe, will jump on the dinky boards and the bathtubs trying to get out, but when they get out, they see something, they forgot they didn't learn the rest of the knowledge. Anybody can make a spaceship in a few weeks' time. But how you guarantee the surviving, how you guarantee the peacefulness, how you guarantee the acceptance of the knowledge of the universe will determine who survives in space. Is not anymore just a pot against. Now it becomes to understand the soul of the creation. That's the step when the man becomes true man of the universe. You don't work with the physicality, because the one who comes from planet Zeus has no zinc and no calcium. What are you going to do with it? But it still has a soul. How do you work within the system with the soul of the creation? Many people tell me we are there to support you because we are there sacrificing our life for peace. I can create peace in no time. But I go through this process because I have to change the structure of the soul of the man. And it's not just the man, the fish, the animals in the jungles. Because once you change, the whole atmosphere change, the whole thing will change. The feature of the animals will change. Because when you can elevate the soul of the lion, he sits next to the lamb. Does not see it as a food. And when it comes, when in the writing of Christ, bless his name, that the lamb and the lion live in one place, they are, and the lion with the knowledge and the power is the universal community, and man is the lamb. You'll be eaten up in no time, but you're allowed to be, because there is no need to. So we come to the point now, the more we understand, the more we develop, the more we evolve, the more humble we should become. That we understand the full process. And with it, we can do everything else possible. We can evolve it, we can dictate it, we can change it, and in so many ways, we can do everything we like with it. It's the wisdom of the man from now on which counts. But the wisdom has to come with understanding work of the soul of the man. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. I'll remind the attendees you can put your hand up to ask a question. And Mr. Keshe, you mentioned a video before of Robert and Caroline sharing their plasma healing experience. I've got permission to show that video if you'd like to.
Have you received it in writing?
In writing on just in this chat, and
okay.
That should be adequate, I think.
I think this is to show one of the most successful Keshe Foundation's medical teams in Brazil. It's a beautiful job by Claudia. Some of you who know her, we kept her away from the public domain because of the threats they received from the Germans. and the red circle will pay you a visit very soon, sirs. You thought you were very clever. So this is from 2 Australians. We received it this morning from Claudia, and we've been given the permission to show it. It's good to watch, and you understand what it means to people when it matters. Thank you very much, Claudia. Thank you very much for Resilient team. Thank you for everything you've done. I stand by you. I supported you all the way in understanding. And in so many ways, it shows how now we start traveling around the world to use the knowledge of the plasma technology. And it's amazing what it does. This is done by one of the, what I call biggest supporters, one of the distributors of the Keshe Foundation in Australia, and some market which he supports. And these are, the voice you hear is the voice of Mr. Richard Prosser. And he's interviewing these 2 beautiful people, the couple, and listen to it. I think it brings you a lot of things in totality, how the knowledge is used by knowledgeable people who understand the technology in totality. Go ahead, please.
Okay, this will be about a 10-minute video, just to let people know. Just back here.
In April of 2018, Robert and Caroline Ballender went to Brazil for some healing work. Some months prior, Caroline had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer, which led to the mastectomy of her left breast. She chose to not have chemotherapy and radiation therapy, but elected for treatment using the plasma healing technology from the Keshe Foundation and other complementary modalities provided by a healing team in Brazil. As they prepared for their trip, Rob mentioned that he too had some health issues which this technology may be able to help with. And so they went to Brazil and worked with 2 talented healers, Claudia and Gilda, who use the Keshe Foundation plasma technology along with a range of other healing modalities which complement the plasma technology. I will let Rob and Caroline share their experience.
We had a fabulous time. Yeah, we met 2 colourful, entertaining, demonstrative women that gave us wonderful healthcare treatment. It was a great experience. I'd recommend it.
For me, it was about assuring ourselves of a healthy future and longevity, and actually making sure nothing would step in the way of that again. If you don't know, my husband had cancer, and I had so much compassion for him for all of that. I ended up with it too, in the breast, triple negative, which is a very, very hard cancer to get rid of. But I'm free, and Robert was quite sick there. You can tell them about you.
Well, and I'll give you the executive summary. Yes, 3.5 years ago, I had a double hip replacement. That all went well, but being so many hours under the knife, it brought on a major mental health event. Saw me as become a resident of a mental health hospital for a few months, and then a day patient for a few months. And then after that experience, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Got over the terminal cancer, free of that. Hips are fine now, but I was left with a major loss of cognitive functions. I had to retire from my profession and retire some years earlier because I was no longer capable of practicing my profession. So the reason for going to Brazil was to get some backup health treatment, some alternative health treatment to support us. I was free of cancer, so was Carolyn, and to confirm that and support that, and also a hope that I might be able to improve my cognitive functions. Well, we've maintained the position being free of cancer, both of us. The tests we had while we're there and after towards the end of it, and they confirmed we're still completely free of cancer. But I've also improved my cognitive functions. Not enough to be able to go back and practice my overpaid profession, but but to allow me to live a more normal life. I'll probably improve my cognitive functions, I don't know, I guess maybe 20%. That makes a hell of a difference to a normal peaceful, everyday, happy life. And I was able to achieve that through the treatment that Claudia and Gilda gave me, plasma treatment in Brazil, 27 days straight treatment we both had. That's the executive summary. It was all part of the plasma treatment. It was energy, water treatment based around the Keshe Foundation plasma treatment. It was all
oxygen and
ozone, oxygen infusion, ozone infusion, energy treatment, stuff like that, some nutrients. It was wide and varied. Over 27 days they delivered this treatment in various ways, through sauna baths, through energy oscillating machines, through immersing us in body suits and then infusing us with ozone and oxygen, getting on the running machine where we had to breathe with an oxygen mask, combination of oxygen and ozone, and a whole lot of stuff like that.
The main thing I wanted was peace of mind for our future. And when Richard was kind enough to tell us about these girls, I just felt it was the right thing to do. I didn't only want the basic things tested out here and checked. I wanted to know that everything was balanced in the body. I wanted to know that everything was saturated with the plasma, and that all chemicals were right, and especially bacteria. And we discovered that Rob had a lot of bacteria, and that would have been very dangerous for the future. And so he's had a lot of treatment to actually take away the bacteria, to clean his body out and make sure there's plenty of plasma energy in there to heal what's left. And most of all, you know, I'm so excited because I've seen life is so much easier for Robert. He doesn't have to struggle anymore. He had a huge profession as a lawyer, huge company business, and to see him come from that to struggling with life to make his day operate properly, it was a terrible thing to see. And I really believed in the plasma, and I really felt the plasma would help. And Claudia and Jill did an amazing job there. They focused on his brain a lot. They made him special apparatuses that he could put on his head to give the energy and the strength back in and to repair all the damage that was done. That was brilliant. And anybody who had any form of Alzheimer's, I think that is such a wonderful thing to do. All the time we were having tests all the way through to make sure everything we achieved and wanted to achieve was done thoroughly, and it is. And so we're looking at really a good, healthy, long life. And no fear of the future, because as we know, there's a lot of people who have had cancer and it comes back a year, 2, 3 years later. And that is really important, that we don't think about that again for the rest of our time. And this was one of the purposes of doing that. And having said that, now that we're back, we continue it, and we will always continue it, because we never want to go back to that horrific time that we went through and came through together. And I think we are both sitting here saying, this is a miracle. We did it, you know? And I just think there's great hope for the world. I think that Mr. Keshe is teaching us, is expanding all around the world, and a lot of people are adding to it all the time, including ourselves. We go now to classes and we learn how to make our plasma, and we're putting it in our house and our gardens and altering the environment that we live in that could contribute to cancer. And the things that we're doing will also help overcome any of the EMF fields, and will also create an energy that is conducive for the body to thrive in. And that's what I'm focused on, that's what I went over to there to learn a lot about.
In April of...
And the girls gave me a lot of information about that, and I'm very grateful. And I'm so glad about that, because we've seen a lot of people sick around us who are coming to us and saying, well, such and such died of what you guys got. How come you're alive? And we have something to share now. So, and we're still learning, and we're still not taking any risks.
Yes, and Claudia and Gilda, returning to Claudia and Gilda, they were very free with their information and their knowledge, and giving us products to use, which was very helpful for when we returned. And they gave Carolyn a couple of days. Carolyn was keen to learn how to make the plasma patches and how to make the water. So they were very helpful and gave us some good tuition over a couple of days to assist her. Now we're back.
And thank you very much, Richard. We most appreciate your recommendations, because without you, we would never have found Claudia and Gilda. And they are very fun girls, and we had many laughs together. I believe we're in a changing world. I believe this technology is all around us if we look for it. It's not easy. You've got to decide to get in there and do it. And for your own health, not for anybody else, but I think we owe it to our families. I think we owe it to our partners that we stay healthy. And because otherwise, if someone around us gets sick, it drags everybody down. And we were always very healthy, always very responsible for that. But after Rob's operation, it brought me down. And I knew that I wasn't going to let him die when they told me that there was no way he had any more than 3 months. And 8 doctors told us that. And that's when I decided, right, we're going in the opposite direction and going with the new technology. I'm not saying alternative stuff, I'm saying the new technology. And I believe it's our future. I believe it's for energy, healing, our agricultural system, and space, according to Moran Keshe. And man, I'm there with him all the way. And thank you, Mr. Keshe. We would not most probably be here without you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To not have chemotherapy and radiation therapy.
Can we stop that? Thank you very much. Now we start releasing what we call testimonials live. And we watch, we don't accept any of it, it's just such as people do. These are people we know. I followed their work from the time they arrived, before they arrived in Brazil. And during the process, Claudia kept me informed, and I've had some fun pictures of these 2 guys sitting there and being there, using different systems. So it's for us to bring the technology out to the domain. This is part of the work of the Universal Council, to find a way that the testimonials become a way of process that others can use. The same as we've done with Giovanni and Naomi. We start allocating part of this the teachings to showing actual people who benefited by it and how. It has to be done on regular basis, maybe once a month, maybe every few weeks, that people start seeing the results. It's not just the space, just trying to do it. We're taking you to space, you're going to be there. Immediately after this session finishes, I'm back in China with the work and the space technology. Later on, there's another part of it, which is agriculture. We are involved in every direction. I cannot stop till I see the peace on this planet. But creating peace needs a lot of wisdom that you have to see to need of every being on this planet that is not in suffering, but it has enough to survive. And it's very interesting what is coming up. And we'll see what the future brings. It's not the Keshe Foundation, it's the Humanity Foundation, because this knowledge belongs to all of us. And sooner or later, these what we call little problems will be over when the man achieves openness into Universal Council, and through it through universal community. Are there any other questions or anything else you want to show?
There's someone with a Chinese name with their hand up. I can't pronounce the name, but I see Ruthie is here as well. Maybe she can translate if necessary. So maybe I can allow them to talk, and we'll see how that goes. Just have to promote them just a second here.
For those of you who know, Ruthie is the head of the Keshe Foundation Chinese operation. And as I said, 3 women more or less run the Keshe Foundation now. Ruthie in China, Jamila for the worldwide outside China, and Ella as the head of the Keshe Foundation. And I hope us men are safe in the hand of these women. I'm pretty sure they are.
Ruthie, can you ask the new person, Chinese person, if they can unmute their microphone and speak if they like?
你好, hello, Rick?
Yes, hi, we hear you.
Yeah, so you want me to ask him to mute himself, right? And
to unmute.
Unmute.
Okay.
Who is there? I didn't see the name there. Let me see. Somebody raised a hand, but that's not Norik Saturday. It's not a Chinese, huh?
Oh, maybe it's
which one?
Vietnamese or something.
Yeah. Or let me try to ask them if they have some question they can ask in Chinese, and I can. OK， 刚才就是说有几位可能是中文的朋友，然后如果你们想要问问题的话，你们可以用中文提问，然后我可以翻译。如果你需要发言就举手，或者是说你的麦克可以直接打开。OK, announced.
Okay, I get no response there, so.
He's not Chinese then, because he doesn't understand it most probably.
Yes, well, if the person that had their hand up understands what I'm saying, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question. Otherwise,
while you're waiting for this, you got to realize that the teaching now are simultaneously translated in Chinese on QQ. Richard in the background in China, he literally translates as I speak. He's brilliant in his job. He's translating everything live as is said. He has a problem with other people speaking English, but because he's doing it for nearly 6 years with my voice, he just speaks. It's faster than me, knows what comes out of my mouth. He translates. Thank you very much, Richard, for all your support. Any other question?
Yes, we have Lawrence with his hand up. I understand John Wells had his hand up as well there. So,
do we have anybody else except these two? Any other questions? Because they are always there. We always respond.
Mr. Keshe, this is Klaus.
Yes, Klaus.
In the name of the medical team at Keshe Foundation, I would like to thank you to deliver and more or less repeat this knowledge again about the soul content. We are very happy about this. Now we're able to touch it more precisely, every organ in the human body. As you all know, medical teaching is on summer break, which does not mean that the doctors and therapists are on holidays. But nevertheless, we open again on the 19th of September. And a very well-known plasma scientist, especially in the area of health, will open the new semester with an introduction to plasma health. And we are very looking forward welcoming you doctors and therapists out there in our family, the medical teaching. This is what I wanted to deliver. And thank you very much. This is a huge breakthrough for all of us. And we will work on it. We will work on the database for the protocols, and this really helps us very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Klaus. Thank you for all your work. The Klaus works nearly 28 hours a day. I don't know where he finds the other 4 hours, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other question?
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's Sandor here. We have learned that using patches with a certain ratio of gases in a certain mass ratio, such as 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 10 to 1, we can create a flow of certain field strength that can remove or mobilize from body tissues certain materials which are in excess. But what would be the method to strengthen some kind of tissues? For instance, what could facilitate the repair of a cartilage damage?
A balanced field energy.
Thank you. How we do that?
1 to 1.
So 1 to 1, it will create a balance.
Yeah. You can dictate if it's a cartilage, because you keep the environment, and where there's a weakness, it'll take what it needs. With a 2 to 1, you create a wind corridor. So with the wind, you know, you stand in a wind tunnel, it takes with you.
Yes.
Yeah, it blows you out. Even you can decide which way you want to get blown out, top to the front or back to the front. If the liver, if your kidney is damaged, it's no use bringing the salt through the stomach and then taking it out. You put the 2 in the front and you put 1 in the back. You push it through the backside, because then it doesn't deliver any other energies to other organs.
Obvious.
You understand?
Yes. Now next would be to find out which kind of gases are helpful for a cartilage.
Go to homeopathy. Homeopathy teaching is well documented in this.
Thank you very much.
We have the beauty of the knowledge of this man who's brought us this beautiful technology, field of science, homeopathy. They've done a lot of work on it. There's homeopathy scientists. I have a high respect for them. And you don't need to go there. You see, the present medical science has to reject everything else because they work for the pharmaceuticals. They have to make money out of it somewhere. Even if you are not ill, you have to have a disease that they can make money out of it. In that process, a lot of data you want about the physiology of the body in content of salt and that kind of thing. The homeopathic is the easiest way. They've already done all the work. A lot of work has been done. You can pick on it, and it's very easy to do it. Extremely easy to do it. When you're not moving something, you want to strengthen it, you add to it. And you have to understand in all the processes you add to, what is the cartilage made of? What is the cartilage? What is the composition of it? Has a high level of magnesium. It has certain amount of silicon, very little but effectively. It has no color, so it cannot contain any copper. It is flexible to standing, so it should have a very low salinity. It's not a bone, it's not hard. The ratio of the salinity dictates the strength and the toughness of the tissue. If you ever been in a washing up liquid business and selling soap and that kind of thing, they tell you how thick do you want the soap to be, your washing up liquid be. I want a thick one, it feels good. All they do, add 10 grams, 10% more salt into it. It's not hard to understand. So when you deal with the different tissues of the body, you have to understand if it's flexible, if it's hard, and the salinity ratio. You see, it's a combination. Now the knowledge becoming more in depth. First of all, it was the ratio of the ganses. Then is the ratio of the ganses from the front to back. Then the ratio of the ganses with the salt content in the back. Now it becomes to understand the position of the soul if you are in that position with the dynamic systems. Then it becomes how you balance the two together, that they work, the physicality and the emotion. This is all part of the process. Extension of the knowledge. You cannot take one part of it and say it doesn't work because it means you have not reached it. most of the failures in the health section, people can get such a success is because they don't understand the salinity ratio. They don't understand the bath ratio. When we hear the gentleman says that Claudia puts us in a bath, yes, because now it balances all the energies which is within the body. So stabilizes. If you have a cancer, if you have unbalance, it stands out. When they put you into the next system, which is the plasma transition or whatever, then whatever is stand out now can be taken out, can be done. There is a knowledge behind the process. It's not just that they do this. When you make your bath, you put the CO2 and zinc on it. When you sit on it, the water is everywhere. There is no transition. So what it is, it balances the whole body. But when you have a pain in such a position, you make a pad, you make a separation. So you create a traffic. All these details have to be understood. And more people are understanding. And then we see more people who are successful. Because that salinity is the key to it. I said very recently, any woman should have a baby. There is no need for all this hullabaloo we get. Every man should be able to have a child because it's becoming a huge factor in the West. In major big cities, the sperm counts is so, doesn't matter. You change the womb that accepts lower sperm, weaker sperms, or you strengthen the man. As many of you know, City of London, Paris, Rome, Washington, New York are getting hit by this very rapidly because the freedom of the sexual behavior has led to use of contraceptives, pills which stop the child to be conceived. But unfortunately, like what we do with the cattle, we give them the antibiotic, it goes into their body, then we eat it and it goes through their waste and it comes to the farmland and we pick it up and then become immune system to the antibiotic. Because it's not we took so many antibiotics. The animals are given so much antibiotic that they're coming in the food chain, we're eating it. And then we said there is something wrong with it, we're becoming immune to it. The same thing is now with these birth control pills. The women are literally urinating it back into the water system. Big cities do not have access to huge reservoirs of water all the time, so the water gets recycled. But these pathogenics, these things are not taken out of the system. And because it's not taken out of the system, it comes back. And what is it? Is to stop the man's sperm to be giving active in the womb of the woman. Now, the man drinks it straight away in his own body, does the same job. One of the jobs now Keshe Foundation has taken to work is with the water authorities is to change up this process. Very soon we announce the centers for this, which is going to be built very soon, where they have asked us as part of the process that we can take these things out of the water of the cities. And it can be done, but the process we created, and then now it affects us. The Keshe Foundation technology is spreading so rapidly in such a diversity that it touches every single cup of water you drink, every vegetation you eat, every solid food you touch, every air you breathe. And then it changes the humanity in totality because now you find peace and comfort. The water content, understanding it, is important because this is something I touched before on it. Maybe now in the medical we can say the way you use the water content in your patches counts. You have to develop a measurement for GANs and then add that amount of water according to that it is. You have to understand with the blood disease like a blood cancer, you need a very different kind of liquid GANs. With what you call a stomach cancer, you need a different water level. The amount of the liquid in your process has a direct effect. Plus on top of it, you add the salinity. Plus on top of it, you add the gases, then you add the ratios. They just fill it in, I've got some gases and do it. What's the use? So you have to understand the gas ratio in the organ itself. Are you dealing with a solid body? If they say the kidney is 100 gram, 80 gram is the water, so you know when you make your patch, 20 grams should be GANs in a state of not solid but minimum water, and then you add 80% of water and you put it in the patch. You can't just syringe it and put the GANs in it. What I call the learning process is getting over. We have to become professional. It's not just filling it in. You have to make a standard, and then because that standard holds the same as the kidney or the liver, you have an effective work, instantaneous work. Even the fields you create will give you that dimension. And you don't need to be a genius, just understand everything is looked at. The GANs level, the water level, the salt level, the ratio of the bags, the interaction of the fields together, what else they produce. And then, is that what is conducive to the whole structure of your process? If now you know if you have a H3 with a magnetic field, you can change it to a H, or you can change it to a H2. So there should be the same process in your patches. What other elements in the interaction of the fields you have created, which you put in that patch? All these have to be counted for. When I make a system, I calculate everything of it, be it the space system, be it the medical system. How much of it affected by the oxygen which goes through the lung? Was the energy transfer of the soul of the liquid of the blood of the man to the point? It's not just, what do you call it, my grandfather used to say, in the Western world, you stand against the wall and urinate. In the Islamic world, this is forbidden. It's against the law of the Quran, because you splash back on yourself. And what they say in the East is, going to Europe is not just learning how to stand and urinate against the wall. You have to learn everything about it, and don't lose your culture. And so it's the same. Just because you have a GANs in your hand doesn't mean that you can do it unless you learn everything about it. And it's just because you have a GANs. Try to ask yourself a question to educate yourself, and then teach that education. You could be 100% wrong, but you being 100% wrong could be 100% right for somebody else, but not in your case. Don't have a fear of experimenting. God experiments every millisecond of the world, creating a new dimensions and new body creatures. Why should the man be afraid of what is created is? Just, it's you who puts limitation on doing it out of the fear, or out of might be wrong. Have no fear. Maximum you learn something new. Till you don't fall in love, you don't know what it means being in love. And then each love is not the same to love. Till you don't have a child, you don't understand what's the love of having a child. Till you don't fall in love with a beautiful woman, you don't know what it means to love, fall in love, or a dog. A lot of people have fear of the dog, but once they touch it and feel the love of it, the fear is not there anymore. The best example for us is this Mr. Topoli. People don't touch, they're afraid. But he's so cuddly, he's so kind, and he jumps on them, they touch it, and they want to take it home. Excuse me, bring it back. It's ours. Fear of unknown should not exist in the world of science, because science means to handle the unknown. I always say, once the scientist is afraid of, it means he's end up learning. He's not a scientist anymore, he become a common man. Any other question?
And I note in the chat that Renee had put in earlier that he says we did some tests together with a research lab to find out if we can clean HCB out of water with plasma. And yes, it is possible. You can read the whole story, and he gives a link there. So
why
perhaps
don't you make a paper from it and send it to be published?
that's what I would suggest that he does. He's not in the chat right now, but if he's hearing this, then perhaps we can get a hold of him and
we have
that
a
would
new guy
be
coming in, I think from September. Ella can tell us in the back that he's expert from for these kind of papers and submissions of papers. He's a PhD from Bristol University. That he will help us or anybody who wants to publish their papers to do it for them. We don't change anything. It's just that it's presented. I don't accept a lot of things. The papers should not have objectives and abstracts, which is a lot of absent-mindedness. I don't know why they put abstracts in the scientific papers. If you don't know what you're doing from the beginning, don't even publish a paper. So it's going to be direct in a very new form that this is what we are doing, this is what we've done, this was a problem, this is the result, and it should be easy to do it. This should be coming because I have to explain the Keshe Foundation is developing a lot of research in these fields, and because we are doing it in conjunction with corporations and governments, they don't allow us to release their data. But we are extensively involved in these kind of processes. I go from one meeting to another and I don't know where the 24 hours goes. And when you hear it's a progressive development in every aspect.
Yes.
Any other question, or shall we call it a day?
I would add something here, if I may.
Oh, you don't need. You're the head of the foundation. What do you want to say?
Although it will join.
You have to introduce yourself for the people who don't know you. We know your voice.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Ella. I'm the head of the Keshe Foundation. And I wanted to add regarding the scientific journal entries and the person that will join us full-time from September. We are building up the team that will support very much the scientific part, turning it towards the whole world in an understandable way, so everybody can understand the words written in these documents and also the formats. However, this person is still with us since now, and if there are scientific journal entries, you can already submit them to us and we will provide you support in how to structure it or how to put it in the form that it becomes a publication. So you do not need to wait until September. We do have the possibility to start from even now.
And how do people put in their scientific journal entry through the support part of the Keshe Foundation site, correct?
Yes, that's correct. If you want, we can add in the chat the link where the submission form is, and also the frequently asked questions are there. But if there are more questions, they can also add it through the submission form. So if you could please share in the chat the link with everyone, then we have it there. So that was from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Ella. Do you see Jamila anywhere, or she's not in today?
We can try to call her in.
Yeah, I think we heard from two of the head of the Keshe Foundation worldwide operation, not from the third woman who runs the whole operation. Then we have a complete board on. The beauty with the work of these scientific papers is that people can refer to it and see it. I've asked Giovanni to do a scientific paper for Naomi. I think it's got to do about 200 different papers because each one has been done in one separate way what it does. And we are working, as I said, going back, we heard about and so Naomi. There'll be a, hopefully within next few weeks, we announce it, European Center for Recovery from Coma. We are working on it, and if it happens, we think it might most probably will happen. It will be done in a clinics fully controlled by doctors that we start through foundation cooperation with the medical teams in Europe to start recovery from coma, so people around the world can bring their patients to the position, to the clinics, or maybe number of clinics. It's got to grow. It's something we'll be talking about 6 months, a year, 2 years down the line. And the same process will happen in China. And that will be announced by the Chinese and the Chinese community out of the, what they call it, worldwide operation, because they carry their own responsibilities and will be done through hospitals and the doctors and government supervision. Anything else? Any other news, or shall we call it a day?
Well, we have a quick question perhaps in the live stream from Jan, who asks, many European countries are suffering from forest fires. In Greece, many have died. Is it possible to utilize plasma technology to extinguish these fires?
In a long time, yes, there is a process. We have a firefighter with the Keshe Foundation somewhere in the background. He asked us what is. He's from United States. I don't know if he's still around the background. We used to see him a lot. We looked at it. There is a possibility you can do it. There are two ways to handle it, especially the newer space reactors which are getting tested, and we see creation of moisture. We can do this, but there is something I always have in the back of my head, and this is something shall be with everybody else. The diversity of the life on this planet is through the natural process of its life. Deserts, oceans, fires, storms, hurricanes. Man has built his lifestyle in these passages, not the life of the planet. Sometimes we can use the technology to change some, but you have to understand one fundamental principle, and especially when the man goes into space. Just because you have the knowledge does not give you the right to interfere. We build our homes on these passages of where there is fires. And life, and the other thing which I've emphasized on it before, maybe you have to understand more as becoming man of space, is planet Earth is a living thing. If you have respect for your life, you have to have respect for the life of the planet. It's not just because you walk on it and you eat from it and you breathe from it, has no emotion. It looks after itself the same as you do, and it needs the cycle of its soul to survive. It's not just a piece of land, and it's not just an ocean. This goes with everywhere man goes in the universe. They say, if you don't like it, get out of the kitchen. If you build your homes and conditions to be in the path of it, you cannot change it now that you have the knowledge to suit you, because now you change the condition for another person, another part to suffer. And this is not your right. You can stop the fires, yes, but let it take hold that the life of this planet goes on a cycle. There are systems you can dampen down or you can slow it down, but then the life needs to evolve. If you tie a man up, with his hands, he will kick harder with his foot. You change the climate in one place, the planet will hit much harder in another place. Then you say, now we have a problem there. You don't understand, what do you call it, that you've been the cause of it. Earth is a living thing. It has to be loved. It has to be respected. And at the same time, you might change his clothes somewhere here and there, but don't strip him, because then he'll kick. As I said, we have asked, is one of the third woman cornerstones of this Keshe Foundation operation, Jamila, is with us. She's the head of the Keshe Foundation operation worldwide. Jamila, would you like to join us? We already had the other two women. You become the third pillar. Would you like to speak?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you for giving me here opportunity to just tell some information to everybody. So here we are working and preparing all the setup of manufacturing. We are working on the full organization. We are working on the standardization in order to duplicate when we will be ready to set up the factories. So I thank you all, the global team, the manufacturing team, or everybody involved in the manufacturing. So we are doing this standardization in every stream, every direction. We are also working with local teams in Ghana, which where we have a wonderful team which are working hard on sales in the local part. We are working also with Italy team, Giuseppe, Giovanni, and the team there. We are working with Mexican team, where you saw that last time what they delivered. So we are very active in background. All the team we are working, we are preparing, and we'll be ready to continue the setup of the manufacturing.
You are the woman who controls the purse of the foundation in the Western world, so you have a lot of say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for your trust. Thank you very much.
Indeed. As we see, thank you very much, Jamila. And the diversity of the management goes from China to Arab nations to Eastern Bloc. Each one, we have no limitation and we have no borders. And this is the beauty of what the foundation is set up. As Jamila says, the manufacturing team, the other part of it, something like I was looking very recently, about 50 different nationalities are in the background operation of the Keshe Foundation. And they are collectively working. Nobody asks where you're from. We're just names. We serve, we deliver what it needs to be done. We cover from South America to North America to China to Bangladesh, Australia, going down to different part of Africa and in Asia and in Europe. And it's a collective work. And I'm sure next week the Universal Council will give us a direction in how they see the humanity has to go to be able to serve.
Mr. Keshe, can I add something very quick as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we are receiving requests for manufacturing from some countries. So I just want to say we are not ignoring you. We are receiving your messages, and we will come back to you. Please do not be worried or whatever. So we register your request, and we will be contacting you as soon as we are ready to come or to work with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
You're welcome.
This is part of the operation which goes. I think we could ask Ruti to tell us if he can give us an update in Chinese operation, please. If you're still around.
Oh, I'm here, Mr. Keshe. So what do you would like me to update?
Update us what's happening in China roughly with different research groups or whatever, and what is happening in China in a way.
Okay. So I speak in English.
Yes. Then we have to ask somebody to translate. You can speak both. I think is important.
Okay. So based on now, we already have several labs in different area. And of course, Shenzhen lab is the biggest one. It's about 1,000. We are trying to expand it to 1,500 square meters. and we will decorate it, and there will like a big training center and have some library to do the test. So and we have we already have our power unit and car unit to be sent to Europe to get the CE certificate. And also we are doing internal like middle test. We sell the car unit at 2099 and the power unit at 3099 I think. And we already get some orders from the supporters of the knowledge seeker. So in the Chinese Keshe knowledge community, so all the supporters, if you are interested to involve the testing, you can do two things. One, you can buy one to test it at your home or on your car, or you can be sales. We give like maybe 10% commission if you help to sell those products. And of course, we need your help to collect the data. So we will give you the form to the end customer to fill in for all the test data they collected. So hope this can be like event to join us together to share the knowledge, to spread the knowledge, and to give the support to the foundations surrounding in China. And of course, we suppose we will confirm the factory recently. So then we will build the first factory here, and we are trying to do some medical tests, as Mr. Keshe mentioned, that we also want to do the coma patient test here. And yeah, so we will also do some maybe cancer or diabetes and high blood patient to try to collect some data here in China, because like we need the local data to support the even for the mass production, selling or promotion. So we are looking forward a lot of progress in China, and thank you, Ms. Keshe, for the hard working in China, and we love you. Thank you.
Mr. Keshe, do you still have time for a couple of quick questions?
Can I just add something? Yes, please. Just give me a second, please. What is important is to understand what just was said by Ruti, that the car unit and the Maghreb unit of China was sent to Europe for certification. This car unit has a different characteristics than the car unit sold by Keshe Foundation Italy or Arizona. This unit has been tested over 3 years, and what it shows is a zero emission exhaust in the car which was used. Now what was explained, that they are collecting data. The characteristic of this unit is the car emission. 20-30% maybe reduction in the fuel, but the car emission reduction is one of the major problems in major cities. So it's specifically designed. We have all the, what you call it, governmental test centers confirming zero exhaust emission, and this is what is the beauty of it. It'll be manufactured in China with the C certification from Italy, and as a number of these units are now has been sold in China and data is collected in confirmation of their correctness, because data is all on, what you call it, electronic systems of the government. It cannot be done anything else. This will become very rapidly applied in Beijing, most probably, and major Chinese cities to reduce the pollution. And as Ruti said, this is part of the setting of the factories in China. And this is the home-grown technology. Units have already arrived in Italy. They're going through the certification. And MAGRAF system is the same, production of it. So China has entered a new phase with foundation, and as the operation goes, we have number of groups who are working as research groups for the foundation. And in a way, Ruti, if you like to explain it in Chinese for them, please, that is understood fully by the Chinese listeners.
Okay, and we also forgot to mention about agriculture test, huh?
Yes, go ahead, please.
You want me to share that part?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, we had done with the local government to do the GANS test on agriculture. They just do it in 10 days on different plants, including wheat and what they call some dry rice and some other 2 plants. So just in 10 days, they all can see the difference, that the plants grow more bigger, more higher, and also compare the grain of the plants. Just to spray 10 days, the grain are more like full, and also more bigger, a little more longer, and so and also like the grain is more earlier to be matured. So just in 10 days test, they already show very obvious effect for the agriculture. So in the future, we are looking forward to apply the GANS technology in about 1 million Chinese land in the north of China, and we want to change the salt and alkaline land to be a productive land. So we already get to the land contract with the government. So we are ready to go to do the application. So even when we try to test if we can extend the time for the plants to grow, or maybe we can try if the plant can cross the winter. So there's a lot of tests we do. So translate to Chinese now. Summary for all of the things. OK， 那有关我们就是中国的凯始社区的朋友呢，也给大家更新一下最近的这个基金会的运作情况。可能很多朋友也都非常的关心和关注，也非常感谢大家一再的这个支持。那在目前呢，我们在国内设立了有几个研发的点。那我们目前这些研发点呢，我们有一些这个产品已经成熟了，就是我们有这个节电单元和车载这个节能单元。那这2个产品呢，我们目前在做这个小批量的中试的阶段。那我们有一些这个测试的推广的这个策略出来，就是一个是说可能大家可以来支持购买，然后装在自己的车上那么我们的新的这个车载的不仅是节能，可能30-25%左右。那么另外呢，就是我们可以在早期的一些测试中发现，安装1年之后呢，这个能够达到尾气的零排放。对于这个减少国内的这个污染，这个是一个非常棒的一件事情。那还有包含我们的这个节能单元，所以另外呢，你也可以来协助我们推广。我们大概会有10%的这个就是销售的一个提成。如果你们作为一个就是可以帮助协助去做销售的话，那这些但是呢，这些我们都需要有就是一个数据采集的表格。来回馈到我们，主要这个是为了在量产之前呢，收集一些更多的这个产品的数据， 那这些产品同时我们也会送到欧盟，已经送到欧洲去做这个欧盟的认证。那我们可能很快就是会有欧盟认证的东西。那另外一边就是我们新的这个工厂呢的这个就是说具体的这个地址的落实，还有具体的这个开动啊，大概也是在近期会落实下来啊。因为这个工厂的投资不是一个小数目啊，总共应该大概会有5、6个亿的人民币的一个投资，就是最小的面积会做这个2万到4万平米的这样一个面积，这是这部分。那另外呢，我们最近在就像先生之前已经提到的，他在国内想要做几例这个就是昏迷的病人的唤醒的这个实验，这个跟意大利同步来做。那近期可能我们也会安排一些癌症或者是一些其他的这个糖尿病、高血压的一些病人的一些测试。那这个呢，也是为了在我们的这个工厂就是正式大批量产品之前呢，能够有一些国内的一个测试数据。那一方面可以是做一些宣传的这样的一些基础，作为我们帮助我们后续的一个量产产品的一个推广。另外我们在这个农业方面也有比较好的一个突破。我们在就是内蒙古跟各当地政府的一些这个农业的测试，我们当时只是做了10天的这个干丝的喷洒的这个测试，然后就在这个有这个测试的有这个高粱、谷子、旱稻还有小麦，那基本上这个对比测试呢都能够表现出植物的植株有明显的增高，而且呢它的这个植物的这个比如说麦穗或者是这个谷粒它们的这个长度还有就是这个饱满度都会比较好，同时还表现出那个植物的这个早熟就是这个麦子的这个早熟。那这方面来讲，只是在10天的时间里，我们就能够有非常一个明显的这个测试结果。所以后续的话呢，我们也希望在这边有大概100多万亩土地要做这个盐碱地的改造，然后把这个盐碱地改变成良田，然后能够有就是更多的就是产出。那么这一系列的这个工作呢，都在我们在进行中，所以能够看到国内的工作在这个开始先生的这个大力的支持下，也都非常的有各方面的一个进展。那今天也是借着这样一个机会，来跟大家做一个解释。Okay, I think that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed. This is part of the progress of the foundation, and as I said, now that we start walking, you will see the foundation will run very fast, because we are not just what do you call the space, we cover everything within the space of this planet. So in one way or another, we will touch a lot of things with a lot of people, and hopefully we'll bring some more peace and happiness to this planet. What would you have for us, Rick? You wanted to ask questions.
There was one more question in the Q&A from Achilles the. It says, may I ask a question about how to utilize neutrons captured inside salt water? I put a magnet into neutron water. After 2 days, the yellow color disappeared. Water became transparent. Thank you.
You got to understand, there's a time lapse with neutron because it divides. And if you put a magnet in it, you have really encouraged it. Because you have created for it to be converted to what? When you put it inside, If it's in a sealed box, neutron does not know containment. This is one of the biggest problems with neutron. It understands the containment of itself, but cannot be contained as such. One of the reasons we use salt water or we use an empty space, because still in the empty space there is a moisture. And one of the strength fields of the water, hydrogen, which is the lowest, has a very close connection because of its structure to neutron, and it holds on to it. And if you disturb the balance of the energy within the water, that link of the plasmatic field allows the neutron to be freed. You deplete the water. It's a very pinkish yellowish water. I have pictures of it, we can show it. It's not that what happened to it, you have changed the characteristic of the hydrogen in the molecules of the water. And in that process, you change the, what I call handshake between the two as plasmatic, and you have released it. So you got to find out where it's gone to, or is it subdivided. Most of the neutrons, if you mark your cup or where you put it in, you might see the change in the height, that it means converted itself to hydrogen, double hydrogen, absorbs because of the gravitational magnetic field of the oxygen in the water, and it adds to the height or the volume of your water. It's very simple. It's one of the first steps of the change of neutron is hydrogen, because it's a split direct, or what you call a nuclear decay. Nuclear decay of a neutron is always a hydrogen. Any other question?
There was another question from Lawrence in the chat, if you have time, Mr. Keshe.
What is the question?
We might want to get Lawrence to actually say, but I'll read it. He mentions, the body is the leech on the soul, which you've mentioned before, that quote. Having offsprings is a controlled environment for growing cancer in the mother's womb. So in other words, he's saying is a child actually similar to a cancer growing in a way, just in a
I think we have to change the word cancer to a word of a new life. We cause it, I don't know even where the cancer has come from, someone who's come up with it, but cancer is not a disease. Cancer is a new cycle of life, which within the environment of the body of the man, because of its rapid progress, evolves very fast. And nobody dies of a tumor, a cancer. Everybody dies of the lack of energy, which is cancer, because it takes all the energy, because it's like a child in the womb of the mother. It takes all the energy from the mother to grow to become a child. But the difference between a tumor or a cancer and a child is that the environment for it is not given, it's become monoatomic, where the womb of the mother has that beauty that it creates that condition of life. This is what I was explaining recently. People don't understand the function of the womb of a mother. If they understand, now that we understand the plasma technology, understand the operation of a womb to literally it's a cup of life. It's a cup. What do you do with it? It's got the liquid, it's got the atmospheric condition of itself, and what does it do? It attracts what it has plus all the, you put a banana in one place, you taste the banana, you put the orange in another one. It's got all the magnetic gravitational fields of the kidney, liver, heart, and everything else when it's, and it's gathered that, accumulated that knowledge within structure as its DNA, they call it, or RNA, so it replicates it. It takes the taste of the mother. The interaction, if you understand the structure of the life, now that you can create a cup of life, a woman is a cup of life. And so, is that a cancer? Or in that womb, every structure, magnetic field of the structure of the life of a man is embedded in the information of that womb, which what we call the fetus picks up with the encouragement of what it has itself to match. So when you don't create, if we create and bring the whole information as a mono-energetic, that it means has become the absorption of energy, but we could give it the full data information, most probably the cancer cell in the womb of a woman become a child. This comes from the same thing. The only reason the child keeps on growing in the womb of mother is once the egg and the sperm come and they start rotating, trying to match up, they create a field that absorb more and more energy. So the mother womb is a field energy, and where does a mother get that energy? From the body of the mother plus the environment. We never looked at it. If you, in the future, scientists look at the womb of a woman and take a topology of the whole structure of the environment, the room, wherever she sits, you'll be amazed how much energy is getting absorbed by the child from the whole environment you walk in. That's why it takes the feature of it. That's why it's, you look Chinese or you look Japanese or whatever, because mother controls the seed. The environment where it lives, it looks beyond, and man always looks at where is the fetus inside. We have to understand more about our own creation, and then we understand more. There is anywhere, if you bring the right combination, you lead to creation of life. But in what information you put in that life counts. When the seed in the womb of the mother with the egg and the sperm comes and starts the dynamism of the life, because it's amino acid based in the no matter state, it grows. The cancer has a different, that seed has an element of solidity, element of matter in it. It's a single matter. So, but because it's in the dynamic plasma, it gathers more and more energy, so it clusters itself. It's like an oyster. You put a little stone in, and then it pearls itself. So when you look at a cancer, this is all with the doctors. You look, always you say, into the blood test. See what is high, what body has learned to produce a lot, because now has learned a new game. You look, you see it's a copper. Copper is high. When the copper is high, usually you see magnesium deficiency or increase in it. So it means he has a soul. If he has a soul, it's malignant. This is where the difference comes. When you ask, when you get the blood test, when I look at the blood test, it's not just numbers to me. I look the whole structure of life in the blood test. Is the zinc increased by the increase of the magnesium or by increase of the copper in the blood? If you see increase, it means it's malignant because it has created a soul for itself. It means it wants to duplicate, it wants to extend. But if you get a piece of a stone which goes in your body, has, in a way, it has a soul, but has no connection to your body, and then body grows, it's not malignant. It's very simple. Doctors don't know how to read blood tests. Then you look at the combination of it. It's the same with the womb of the mother. You take your blood test, oh, you're pregnant. Why? Because certain things has changed in the blood. But we haven't managed to understand with the cancer it's the same. If the doctors understand this, you can change cancer. So why do we use always zinc with it? Because we support the soul. And in supporting the soul of the man, I'm in pain, I don't want you there. So it responds to it. It moves on. It takes the cancer with it. The physicality follows. These are the things which we have to understand more. It's part of the culture of the life in the universe. In an extended life, in an extended direction. Why on this planet there are certain deficiencies, there are certain diseases that everybody gets. Look at the planet. What's the magnetic field of this planet? And then look at the magnetic field of this planet in the solar system. What energy do we get from it that encourages this disease? Then you look at the universal sides. beyond in the galaxy. There are many diseases that man carries which comes from our galaxies, from the solar system, and doesn't belong to this planet. But we just dismiss it because we don't understand it. Why certain cancers are privileged and say, more in certain countries or certain areas. A diet habit. Why do we certain diseases at a certain seasons or certain time of the year? Because look at where the planet goes and what energy from the galaxy comes in. What energy comes from the solar system in that point? What is the position of magnetic field of the planet in respect to its environment? We are, as being children, literally born in the womb of this planet. The same as the womb of a mother gives life to another life. So this planet, the way we get nourishment from it, we never look at it because that's very easy to be. We're just born. But we are born not in the womb of the mother. We are born out of the womb of the planet. And then we have to understand what this planet carries, where and how, in what position in its cycle of life. The diseases we have now is not the diseases we had 2 million years ago. Because now the planet has got older, it's got a stronger field, it's more closer to the sun. The condition has changed, those diseases don't exist. So is the womb of the mother. So is the cancer. Now, the Keshe Foundation scientists to understand this, it is important to realize to understand how things work. There is a message sent by Ruti. Please do not refer anything from China for Keshe Foundation for the products. Everything has to go through Italy for certification. You can cause a lot of problems. No one contacts the Chinese Keshe Foundation for any products. All the Keshe Foundation products will be sold through the certification in Europe. Thank you very much for the notice, Caroline. The important thing is you have to understand the totality of the process and understand what happens in the background with it. Please do not give QQ of nobody on the internet. This is not correct, please. Delete it and take it out. You got to understand the whole structure. You got to understand the whole process. Any other question?
There's one more part to Lawrence's question, which is about the neutron splits into a proton, electron. Can that be considered a form of cancer too?
What do you mean?
Well, you were mentioning redefining the word cancer as a growth process rather than a cancer. Would the splitting of the neutron into the proton and electron be a cancer process, you might say? Or is it
what do you
different?
mean by that?
I don't know what he means by that other than he just says neutron splits into proton, electron. Can this be considered a form of cancer too?
Everything has a neutron, electron, and proton, and so we are all cancer to the body.
Well, he says, can the human body be considered a cancer for the soul?
Most probably we are. We are a leech, always said. We are built on the soul. We give life to the soul and then use the soul to confirm our own physical existence. There is a lot of explanation needs to be done. There is a lot of progressive development or understanding of the work of the soul needs to be done. and that is we see mixed behavior with pregnant women, and they say, oh, she's moody, she's pregnant. Stand still. What touches the emotion of the woman during the cycle of their birth? Presence of another soul, which is within her, she carries with her. So what those two souls have to accommodate. Why some mothers are very happy in the time of pregnancy, because they get on with the soul, and when the child is born, it's the same relationship. And why some mothers are not happy, and they go through all sorts of problems during the pregnancy. And it mainly connects to the soul of the child. World of science is too physical. And when you get to understanding the operations, oh, you become ethics, you become theology. Those who speak this means they don't have understanding of the creation whatsoever. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe has his hand up here. Perhaps he can ask a question or comment.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. It's Rui speaking. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rui.
My question, Mr. Keshe, because you talk about the planet Earth, how it works, and magnetic fields and everything, it changes the life being. Can you enlighten us what is happening now with the planet and the solar system? Because I can see almost all volcans in the planet, they are erupt. And
what do you mean? Can you explain, please?
I have application that I see almost all volcans on the planet Earth are erupting.
Yeah.
And I see also Yellowstone start to open up, and everything is changed, and there is earthquakes all over. You can see what's happening in Hawaii, but it's not the only place. It's all over the world, and the media doesn't talk about. Can you enlighten us about this? What is that now in the solar system and with planet Earth? That is my question.
Thank you very much. We got to understand there are certain positions. The planet Earth, so many ways is changing orbital latitude and altitude towards Sun. And that enforces different magnetic fields of connection from the planet. It happens on a regular basis in a way. It's not that we are rotating in one direction. As I've said, it's a combination of the interaction and the position of the solar system itself in the galaxy, which is forces its fields on the smaller bodies like the Earth. And we are getting pulled into the inner wings of the galaxy, and the process is very clear, is not speeding up as such, but is becoming more inside. So when you're on the fringes and outside, you have less fields, but the other fields affect you. When you come inside, you get more controlled and more fixed. But the Sun has exactly the same pressure on Earth, and Earth is moving closer. In past maybe 100 years, it's not so much global warming they say talking about, is the Earth has moved its position in respect to Sun by a few millimeters, and is moving in those few millimeters at a time, is making a huge difference. And in so many ways, we see higher value elements to appear on planet. With the planet, the materials we couldn't find before, what we call rare earth material, connected to mainly oxygen. We see new materials because now the stronger fields of the Sun are in interaction with the Earth. And these fields create different extraction of fields from the plasma of the center core, or what we call the inner cores of the planet. And it's like a boiling, it has to erupt to release it. And these fields, we look at the volcanic eruptions as a matter state eruption, but in fact is a magnetic field eruption. We see it on the sun, which says sun flares. These are earth flares. These are magnetic fields which the planet is releasing, and according to the release of these fields, it dictates its position in respect to sun. And when you look at the volcanic eruptions, so they're increasing so many, is because it means more fields are taken. We look at the physical condition, but if the scientific world puts magnetic field flares the way they do on the sun to see what comes up, you will see massive amounts of energy fields, magnetic fields are released through these spaces. We just see the physicality manifestation of it when it's a big blob mass of it. When it's normal, we have the atmosphere, but when it's a huge mass of the fields, and where does it go? The softest place, what do you call it? The volcanics. If the pressures and the magnetic field flow of the magma can make mountains of kilometers high, it should be understood it's very easy to release this energy through magma, through volcanic eruption. So one of the reasons we see this huge increase or rapid increase is more or less, if you look at it, you put in orbit numbers from the sun to the edge of the solar system. We have just dropped in by one orbit. So now we have to adjust that closeness. We have to give more energy out to be able to hold position. If we don't give more energy, or what we call energy, magnetic fields, out, that it balances the fields with the solar system, we get absorbed. We drop in till we find a balance. Volcanic eruptions are not just island creating. These are huge magnetic field flows. We have a continuous flow from the sun, but then we get the huge eruptions of the magnetic field. It's the same with the Earth. So this is what we see is what they call one orbit closer. It's happened in past 100 years. It doesn't happen overnight. But now we stay in this orbit maybe for 500,000 years, 400,000 years before we drop another. But even in that level, there is still band of getting closer, because that band level is, let's say, 1 million kilometers. So we started on the edge of, let's say, 9. Now we just entered 9. Now we have to wait till we come to 8. To go from orbit 9 to 8, it'll take us 500,000 years maybe. But in that level, when you cross, it's like the ring of Saturn. There's a cross line. The fields, everything has to adjust over the time. We are in a bathroom, a spiral going in, and there's no way to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're up to 3.5 hours here now. Perhaps.
Shall we call it a day?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you very much. I'll go back on my next duty, trying to get you a lot flying in the space.
Yes,
I'm a man.
Many hats.
You know, in places like people have 2 or 3 jobs. They go from one job to another just to keep the daily life going. This is my job. I just finished this shift. I have to go to the next shift just to have enough to go.
Yes, but there is a saying that if you want a job done, ask the busy man.
Why?
Well, you don't ask the lazy one, because you're not going to get the job done. But someone that's already in motion, that's already doing a whole bunch of stuff, you just add another job to them and then just take it in and get it done somehow. So that's the idea.
There's an English says God doesn't give you what you can't carry. So I see how much you can carry before it breaks the back of the camel. But it's beautiful to see the work. And as I said in the teaching on Tuesday, Universal Council teachings, we need a lot of financial support in the Keshe Foundation to be able to maintain the works of the foundation. And we need to be able to create all these factories, to create all these structures that supports this work to be able to financially support the ever expanding process. And so in that process we do more, trying to achieve more, trying to get more done, and it's becoming one big spiral, getting what do you call it, structures in position. And now I always said that the breakthrough with the foundation will come through the space technology. And we have a beautiful team in China, we're the same in Arizona. And if we go to the next step today, we are another step. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we were in another step. Now we know we can create massive fields in megawatts, most probably in terawatts of energy. Now we have seen how we managed to bring down the electricity power supply of a city. Now we have to harvest it, we have to fold it in. It's folding in that energy. Then instead of the silver cloud to be created, it folds in and the structure created. And so our job now is to how to reverse the process of sucking everything in instead of going up to the sky and creating so much problem with the electricities and the naval and the air forces. It'll be very interesting to ask the what do you call space agencies or the people who run satellite, what happened over China at that time with the satellites? How did we hit them? Did they get embraced by it, and did we have glitches on it? It's very interesting. Thank you very much for today. I hope we taught a little bit more. It's not all space and things. Now you can see the application of it and how it can change your life the way we see with Naomi and the others. Thank you very much. And your soul be a protector of your life.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And thank you, everybody, for participating in today's 234th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, July 26, 2018. And I believe we're ready to, is there any other announcements that anybody has to make? I think that's it. And I might add that Mr. Keshe may be available in the private teaching on Friday for those students that are aware of that, and possibly not. We're not clear on that yet, but we'll see. And we'll have the Plasma Reactor group next Tuesday, and of course the Knowledge Seekers Workshop the same time and place next week. Okay, I think ready to go with our final videos, and I think Flint can take it away there.
Join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.